Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and in some locations in the world, good night. How's everyone? Welcome to this week's very special Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and ladies and gentlemen, we are doing some massive celebrating today. This week happened to be the week of weeks for the channel. It almost seemed like everything, the moon and the sun and the stars and everything just lined up perfectly. And what am I talking about? Well, today, folks, we are celebrating the channel's 1000th video on YouTube on November 3rd, which was just yesterday. We celebrated 5 years on the platform. We are a few views away from 3.6 million views in 5 years, which is astounding for the size of the channel. It just so happens that on Monday, we gave away $200 worth of Halloween tricks and treats. And today is Mrs. Boom's birthday bash episode on top of celebrating 1,000 videos on YouTube. And we're giving away $300 worth of gift cards. That's right, 6 $50 gift cards will be doled out and delivered today for you to buy something like, I don't know, God of War, which releases next week and is getting, oh my God, ridiculous reviews. And you know something? We should be celebrating. But you know what I keep seeing in the Twitter streets? Fighting.
Oh,
and I'm very saddened by it. Yes, I'm an Xbox guy. Yes, I prefer Xbox over PlayStation if I had to make a choice. But why can't we be excited that Sony Santa Monica has delivered what some are calling the greatest PlayStation game ever? You understand the ramifications of that? Sony has been around since '94. And they, in that time, folks, have delivered some of the greatest IP I have ever played as a gamer. And we have people, and again, you can call them stans, you can call them fanboys or fangirls, or you can call them whatever you want to call them. But the truth of the matter is that I got the most expensive edition. It's locked, it's loaded. I'm ready to rock and roll. I can't wait to see the adventure that Kratos takes, and I'm going to be a part of it. But listen, we have not only the guests in front of you, we're going to have people rolling through to help me celebrate today's, triumphant day. But let's start with someone that was a part of this panel and is now back to celebrate not only God of War, but the 1000th episode. Mr. Badbit, how's everything, my brother? How you feeling?
Ooh, I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me, guys. It's God of War Eve, man. I'm excited. It's for me. I love the celebration of games. Especially like when, for example, like Elden Ring coming out, and everybody's like, oh my God, this game's something else. Seeing God of War have a lot of critical acclaim attached to it is awesome to see. I love seeing the devs coming out and celebrating the W right now. But yeah, so I'm waiting. Winter is coming. Wednesday can't get here soon enough.
Indeed.
So I'm vibing. It's a good vibe.
We're going to get into it because we're going to be talking not only about God of War. I have some statements from some of the press. And again, please, by all means, take it with a grain of salt. This is their opinion. If you agree, thumbs up. If you disagree, that's okay. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about, and you give us your opinion in the chat. I will be more than happy to read that for everyone. But I also want to go to next someone that I consider to be an extended a part of my family. He has been with me on this channel almost from the beginning. I have worked on with him numerous times, and he's making his return appearance specifically for today because of 2 reasons. One, to help celebrate 1,000 episodes, but he also, along with Everborn Saga, is a part of the tinfoil hat wearing folks like myself regarding Crystal Dynamics and Eidos-Montréal coming to Xbox Game Studios. Yes, they might just be doing that later next year after ABK is done. We have an incredible theory. Slow-mo backslap. What's going on, dude? How's everything? Oh no, Slow-mo is not here. Unless he's
I'm sorry. I was
muted.
I was just talking and I'm just like, wait a minute, what's happening? Sorry. Boom. Glad to be back, man. Glad to be back here on Breakfast with Boom. I used to always have my iced coffee with me. Now I just got regular coffee today. It's a little cold, I can't do the ice today. But hey, look, I'm ready. I'm ready to get into it. It's people call it tinfoil hat. Time. I would say this is just it's time for a little slow Stradamus time. I would say it's
I
time to
like that. That's slow Stradamus. I like that. I like that.
like every now and then, I just come right, 100% accurate on a prediction. I think this is the one. I think this is one of the ones. It's not the only one, but I think it's definitely going to be one. We can get into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we're actually going to break that down. We also have a breaking story that was brought to my attention. My goodness, super early this morning. I mean, I got up at 7 and change, and Eidos-Montréal, who, what can I say about him? Not only is he an amazing, absolutely astounding community member, but he blesses me with lots of information. And most of the time, I'm not even asking for it. I simply open up the DM and boom, here it is. Well, folks, Kojima's game has leaked online. Overdose has officially leaked, and it does in fact look like it's going to be a horror game. It is third person. It is using what appears to be multiple players online. I'm not sure if they're working together or working against each other, but the game is running the footage that we have is actually running on a mobile phone. So this sounds very similar to what he was talking about working with Xbox, where this game is going to be able to run across multiple devices over the Azure servers. And it's going to be a multiplayer horror game, which sounds awesome. But again, it's probably years out. But the fact that it leaked online is pretty incredible. But let's continue with the introductions. Web Dave, what's going on, brother? How the heck are you feeling? And what you been up to?
I prefer fangirl.
Okay, all right. I will call you fangirl if that's what you want. Listen, we represent everybody here.
Oh my goodness. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, it's always good to see Joe and Slow Mo. It's awesome. And awesome, of course, my fave, Fuzzy. Love you, Fuzz. Boom. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, sir.
Let's get into just a great show. And super chats are already coming in hot and heavy.
Definitely appreciate the generosity. We'll get to that momentarily. And Fuzzy Belvedere, what's going on, brother? How the heck are you feeling today?
Doing good. Good morning, everyone. Man, so glad to be here, and congrats, Boom, on this 1000th show or video on your channel. Man, this is awesome to see.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. This is look, folks, here's the thing. You see people come out and start their channels almost every day. It's very, very content creation could be considered like gaming. Very, very similar. You have an idea, you put it on paper first, you work it out, you go buy your equipment, you put it up on there, and a lot of the times we are lucky to get one view. If it's not our spouse or our brother or our sister or our mother or dad, right? They watch the show and they give you your one view and you're like, yes, I've made it. My first sub is Mrs. BoomStick. My first ever sub in the history of the channel is Mrs. BoomStick. Did I ever expect it to go past that? No, I actually didn't. Got to remember, I am considered the old man of the group. I'm 52. I came into a situation where it's a very young man's game. Content creation is, kids make their millions starting off when they're kids, 8, 9, 10 years old on YouTube. And we've seen some of them. Ninja is a perfect example of a self-made dude. This is a guy that started on YouTube when he was a kid, and he's a multi-million-dollar streamer now. Maybe not as popular or in the news as he used to be, but the guy is he's still a self-made man. I look at Greg Miller, someone that I don't know if I'll ever meet, but I would love to just have a slice of pizza with Greg, because if you look at where he started, this is a guy that when you talk about self-made, there's no better example of doing it the right way. His actions have inspired me to be a better streamer, to be a better host. Just watching how he was before he was famous on IGN, and of course, Kind of Fun Gaming. Look where it's at, right? Well, I am incredibly honored and blessed to say that this small channel that's not even at 12,000 subscribers has not only hit 3.6 million views, which is crazy. That's insane for this kind of a small channel. But to be around long enough to say that we have now hit 1,000 videos, and that's not because of just myself or Mrs. Boomstick and the work that she does behind the scenes. This is because of you, the viewer, right now. If you are subbed, if you are watching, if you are sharing, you are also responsible for the success of this channel. Certainly not just myself, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have people that wanted to actually hear what I had to say. So I'm very grateful and humbled by the success. And I will, regardless, if I turned into a million subs tomorrow, I'd be the same guy. Nothing would ever change. So enough of the congratulatory shenanigans. We got to talk about gaming. But before we do, gentlemen, I got to catch up on the super chats. And my God, there's been quite a few already. John Wolf, good friend of the program, former Breakfast with Boom panel member, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, congrats on 1,000 Boom. And thank you for welcoming me to this community. You are a pillar of this space. And here is to 1,000 more. It's very kind of you, John. Thank you so much for that. And it's my pleasure.
Real talk, John. Real talk. Can I just say something?
Please.
Respectfully, John. Smoking hot wife. She is very attractive. You hit the lottery, my man.
John is a good-looking dude. Let me tell you something.
He's
John's
a good-looking
dude.
He's a good-looking dude. But I'm just saying, you're very lucky. Count your blessings, you know?
Listen, there's a couple things about John Wolf. Not only is he a handsome man, but he's a genuine good guy. Like, he's actually a really good dude. So he deserves it all. Oh, I see what you're doing there, Web Dave. I love it.
What is that? What is that shit?
That looks like the Cloud G. Is that? Yes. Look at the size of that screen. Oh, by the way, did I tell anybody that this caveman, this I have one, Joe. I have a Steam Deck. You know,
if I had a camera, I'd be holding my Steam Deck as well.
I need to recharge mine.
You know what? You know where my Steam Deck is? It's in the box because I'm a barbarian and I don't even know how to set up Xbox Game Pass on it yet. I need help, and KSante's
There you go.
Set that up because you know what? I am gonna say though, I have purchased a lot of games on Steam. It's addicting, folks. These sales. I got 10 games for $3.
I got Sunset Overdrive for like a nickel the other day.
It's hard to say no to basically free games, but
I got the BioShock trilogy for $5. The entire trilogy. All three games.
See, that's how $5 doesn't even get you a cup of coffee and a donut these days.
Exactly. It can't get you legendary games on Steam, though.
Yes, absolutely. Outbreak Podcast. Hey, I know who that is. He says this member for 15 months. Thank you so much for that. He says congratulations on 1K episodes and happy birthday to Mrs. Boomstick XL. Thank you so much for that, Dave. Definitely appreciate it. Shooter 2853, generous friend of the program and former military. Obviously, salute for that. Thank you for your service, my brother. He drops a $10 super chat and says, congrats, Mr. and Mrs. Boom. Hey, Joe, Slow-Mo, Fuzzy, and Web Dave. And once again, happy birthday, dear Mrs. Boom. Thank you so much for that. LMNOPO, good friend of the program. Wow, he drops an outstanding $20 super chat and says, congrats, Boom. It's always a great time listening. Your shows helps make my day more smoothly. Pick up RE Village, by the way. Yes, I actually have it. I have to actually buy the DLC because I want to play the game again because I have actually got up to I got to beat the last boss, but I want to play it again in third person because why not? It's available. But damn, God of War and then Sonic and Gotham Knights. Oh my God, I'm not going to talk about it. My game of the year so far. It has beat out Elden Ring.
That's it. I love to hear it. I cannot
stop playing it. Nice. I am addicted to it. It is my favorite. Gaming is supposed to be fun. And I'm not saying that Elden Ring wasn't. I put over 100 hours. I love Elden Ring, and I'm not a Souls guy. But Gotham Knights, folks, when it goes on sale, please, for the love of Joe, buy it.
Me.
Buy
Yeah.
it. It's gonna be $30 on Black Friday. I guarantee it. Buy it. Don't worry about 30 frames. I'm telling you, they're gonna fix it. Eventually, they're gonna put a 60 frame patch, and you're gonna be thanking me. But Bunty, who's been a member of the channel for 1 year, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Congratulations, Boom, on your 1,000th video. Keep up the good work and enough respect." Thank you so much for that. And let's see. Oh, okay. I saw Slow-Mo put something in the chat. Skill Up has Matt Booty on his pre-recorded podcast. Wow. Well, Skill Up that dude is legit. So yes. Thanaros, who's been a member for 2 years. Oh my God. Drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Congrats on 1,000. I always have to listen to you while working." Well, thank you, brother. I'm glad that I can make your work go through. But listen, let's get into the game talk. I mean, we're 18 minutes into the show and we've talked a lot of shenanigans. Let's talk God of War, folks. Like I said earlier, I am happy that God of War has enveloped the community conversation, but I'm also disappointed. I have seen a lot of fighting. I've seen a lot of name calling. I've seen some ridiculousness. Look, folks, here's the thing. I don't have to say it again, but I'm going to say it for context. I prefer Xbox first over Nintendo and Sony. It's not because I'm a fanboy. I like the controller. I like Xbox Live. I like my friends list. I like my achievements, and that's fine. But when a game comes out like Bayonetta 3 for Nintendo, I raise my hand and I buy it and I tip the cap. When Sony does something special and God of War Ragnarok is special, you have to tip your cap because, again, to making a game, I'll never do that in my entire rest of my life. And making games are hard, especially nowadays through a pandemic that is still going on. And on top of that, now a recession, right? Why can't we just put down the torches and the pitchforks and the axes just for a day, just for a weekend, just for a week to kind of simply just enjoy gaming? That's my thing. I understand people don't want to cross lines. I understand people, think that the media. I don't trust the media. I don't trust the gaming media as far as I can throw them. Okay, I just don't. And they have proven me right more times than they have proven me wrong. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about and celebrate the fact that this game, God of War by Sony Santa Monica, is being considered the chef's kiss masterclass in gaming. Now, I started a New Game Plus, and I got almost through it on God of War 2018. And I sat back in my chair, amazed at what I was actually seeing on the screen. Like the details in the bald head of Kratos it's bonkers. Now, is it a 10 out of 10? For me, it's a 10 out of 10. There's no doubt about it. I get the highest score I could possibly give it because I really enjoyed God of War 2018. But I'm here to enjoy and celebrate with PlayStation gamers. Now, maybe I'm not welcome into the party because I'm considered a quote unquote bot, but that doesn't make me not want to have and enjoy my PlayStation 5. I don't play it that often because I only buy it. I only have it for first party, and this is the first party game that I think everyone is going to want to have. But let me just, shout out Benji Sales, good friend of this program, great friend of the community. He put out a couple of hours ago the first review list of scores. So I'm going to read it out there for you. IGN gave it a 10. Gaming Trend gave it 100. Game Rant gave it a 5 out of 5. Push Square 10. PlayStation Universe 10. Game Blog 10. EGM 5 out of 5. VGC, one of my favorite sites, and I think it should be yours as well because I love those guys over there. 5 out of 5. Press Start 10. Easy Allies, which they're pretty good themselves, they gave it a 9. GameSpot gave it a 9. Digital Trend gave it a 4 out of 5, which is 80, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. It's just they're the point scores. I kind of just wish it was all just 10s across the board, so it could be, points, whatever. But that's fine. Open Critic has it at a 94, but Metacritic in total scores as of this morning, I believe it's a 95. Now,
Wow, it went up one.
it went up a point. Yeah, it was a 94, and now it's 95. I will check during the show to see if it went down or went up. We don't know right now. The highest score is holding at 97, and that was Halo Combat Evolved a gazillion years ago. Now, Gene Park, I don't usually quote him because he can sometimes be he stokes the fire. And if you don't know who Gene Park is, well, he is a writer for the Washington Post. He's according to his bio, he's a retired social media pro, and he's a lifelong newspaperman. And that's great. I mean, but he can, maybe it's for clicks, maybe it's for clout. I don't know. He sometimes stokes the fire, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I want to read what he wrote. He says, God of War Ragnarok has finally dethroned The Witcher 3 with the best side quests I've ever played in an adventure game. The game's coolest fights, most heartfelt stories, and grandest areas are in the side quests. Do not skip them. Now, Joe, I want to go to you first because you are someone that represents the PlayStation community in the best way possible. You and Kyle are the co-hosts of the Trophy Room. It is something that is viewed very highly on iTunes, and for good reason, because you guys put on a great program. When you hear these accolades coming out from all of the media, this is one of those events in gaming that time just stops for a couple of days, right? And a game comes out and just envelops the entire community. And I mean, again, I think I've seen way more celebration than I've seen infighting, which I don't really like, to be honest with you. But I get it. People like football. I like the Steelers. You like the Browns. You want to throw poop at me because I'm a Steeler fan. I get it. I get it. We suck anyway this year. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, how excited as a PlayStation representative, as someone that does in fact bleed blue if they cut you?
Yeah.
Are you excited not only to play the game, but are you excited for Sony Santa Monica to deliver? It's hard to deliver a game better than what was considered one of the best games they've ever done in God of War 2018.
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, how I feel about review scores in general. The one thing the reason why I'm so happy it's getting really high scores. I was joking around this entire year. I'm like, Ragnarok is an 88. Just like every other PlayStation game this year, it's cursed to be an 88. But the grand scheme of things, the reason why I'm like happy about the high score isn't because like, oh, look, I'm gonna put a side by side between this and like Horizon whatever 5, like a loser. No, I'm excited because developers that crafted this game poured their heart, their souls, all their effort into it.
Yeah,
and it is a masterpiece critically. So it's awesome that these devs are getting the appreciation, the love. I would love every game to come out be rated at 9 out of 10. But for me, at the same exact time, I'm also happy it's rated highly, so that we don't have, at least I haven't seen on my Twitter, the so tiring conversation about not just review scores, but like if this game doesn't hit the same highs that the first game did, it's an automatic failure. The whole flame war, bull crap that I absolutely loathe. So that's why it was kind of a sigh of relief. I'm like, well, at least we're not getting those garbage conversations. At least we're just celebrating this moment that is, hey, a video game is coming out and it's rated really high, similar to that of like Elden Ring, right? When Elden Ring came out, critics loved it. They're like, this is probably one of the greatest games ever made. And then everybody, following afterwards going, this is something that I love. And, for me, and we talked about it on the Trophy Room, and I believe also Cast Co-op last night, was, I very much believe by the end of this year, Elden Ring will still be my game of the year. I think I'll still win like the critical game of the year, but for me, it's just celebrating games and celebrating the people that are making them. I saw one loser. I'm just gonna say it, loser energy, like going into every single one of the devs like posts going, well, the user scores could be really low. Like what? Like why would you the effort people are putting in to just trash talk because of the boxes thing is really tiring. And I think it also speaks to another conversation of how so many people are just tired of that conversation because it's kind of silly. So on one hand, I'm excited that this is getting good scores because a lot of people pour their heart and soul into it. On the other hand, I don't give much weight to reviews, not because I don't trust people like Travis from IGN or whatever have you. I just know the reviewers that I like and that I have a good rapport with, and I'm going to trust those people because I know they're going to like things that I like similarly. So when I was talking to Steve, who reviewed God of War Ragnarok for us on this week's Trophy Room, the thing that I asked him was, I know how much he loved Elden Ring, and he's platted it alongside me.
Wow.
And I
really?
go, okay. Yeah. And I go, so what's your game of the year right now? And he's just like, man, that is the thing I'm going to be torn by for the next month as I decide what it is, because it's a toss-up. I'm like, that's awesome. You got two games that are coming out or have come out and people really love them. That's awesome to see. So what we've done, and I think this is the most important thing, Boom, and I linked it in our private chat, is we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away the collector's edition of God of War, the $200
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Thor
Nice.
hammer. So make sure you check out at PS Trophy Room on Twitter, like, retweet the post, but also donate $10 to our Extra Life for the Shirley's Children's Hospital, which helps kids in need, like who we're sponsoring. Miles, who because of this hospital, he's had 3 skull surgeries.
Wow.
And that money goes straight to that hospital.
You're talking about Miles Dompierre.
Oh, no. No, a different Miles, a cuter, more
more adorable Miles.
More adorable Miles, one that fits in your arm like this.
Hey Joe, I put that link in the chat for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So it really does help kids in need, and doing some good while celebrating something that we're all excited for.
Yeah,
so
that's
my spiel.
No, I love it, dude. And again, it's an honest take. I definitely appreciate you being here. You're going to hang out with us. Infinite Umber has just jumped into the fray. Umber, we'll come to you momentarily, but I want to go to Slow-Mo on it. Slow-Mo, listen, you have an incredible weekly show with someone that I think you would even admit, even though you fight a lot. That's still your brother.
Right, absolutely.
We have seen the great side of the community when it comes to celebration. We've also seen the pretty nasty side of and again, I think that what I've seen so far is more good than bad. I want to get your opinion on the scores. I want to get your opinion on what your expectations are for this game, because I'm assuming you're going to get it just like all of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, this is what I really appreciate about gaming is that we don't really get these events anymore, right? I mean, did you see the commercial, Slow-Mo, with my God, what am I thinking about? LeBron James was in it, John Travolta.
Yeah, it was great. And Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller was dressed up as God
Kratos.
of War.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean,
it was great.
What a great commercial. And that
and they had the kids there too, which is
they had
cool.
the kids with them. And the kids were mad embarrassed, which is great. It's even better because you're destroying your kids live on the air. But
I gotta say this about I gotta give Sony their flowers when it comes to how they market their games.
Yes, I was literally just going to say that. That's a great point. And please, start on that, because as much as I am an Xbox fan, one of the things that they kind of are dragging themselves a little bit with is the marketing and the messaging. It's something that they haven't gotten right yet. and I believe they're working towards it. They have gotten better. Let's call a spade a spade. Their marketing has gotten way better than it did in the Xbox One generation. But it's something special about Sony when it comes to these flagship titles. They just know how to market them. Talk about that and talk about your expectations for this game, and more importantly, the scores that it is getting.
Sure. So like I echo your sentiment about Microsoft. They've gotten better with marketing. They seem to understand their demographic better, but I would love to see them actually market their games with the same level of enthusiasm. If you look at how if Redfall, for example, they released that amazing trailer, and then it took like 6 hours for the Xbox account to also like show off that trailer as well. It's just like it should have been a more coordinated marketing push for that, because I think a lot more people would have saw it, and then a lot more people would have been more excited for Redfall than they aren't. Like, they haven't really talked about Pentiment in social media as well. It's I keep forgetting when it's coming out. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. You should know when it's coming out. You should be excited. I remember back when Sony was releasing Spider-Man 2018, and they had an entire like subway car painted with like, that had to have cost them.
Well, the first God of War was on a basketball court. If you remember that, I think that was in the LA Coliseum.
Yeah, like they spend crazy money to market their games, and it works because the general public, they aren't like us. Like us in this panel, we're hardcore gamers where we're tuned into everything. The CMA sneezes and everyone's like, hey, the CMA sneeze. What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to approve it, deny it? What? Like, it's just, we're so in tune on everything, but the casual gamer isn't. So they see something like a subway car like Spider-Man, they're like, wow, that's Spider-Man. What's going on? Oh, there's a PlayStation game coming out. Let me take a look at it. It's like it's smart marketing, and you see big time actors, freaking LeBron James and stuff, and they're just having a good time, but doing a little mini commercial about God of War, and all the casual people out there who I know who LeBron James is, I know who John Travolta is. What are they talking about? There's a new God of War game. Like, people aren't even aware that it's happening. And then they see this, they see the game, they're like, well, damn, that looks great. Yeah, let me go ahead and get that. And it's just smart marketing. And I really want to give them their flowers about that. I was a little bit surprised that the review scores had it on par as far as the same 94 that the previous game got, because all the talk a little bit before it came out was, it's a cross-generational game, so game design wise, they aren't doing anything any different than they were doing with the previous game, but it's still going to be good. They're still iterating off of what they created. And I was thinking, all right, well, that's what I'm looking for, because the previous game won Game of the Year. So, like, I mean, like, how much more can you really do at that point? And so I figured, all right, well, I'm going to enjoy this. I enjoyed the first game. I had a great time with it. That year, Spider-Man was still the better game for me that year, but I'm still going to have a great time with this. But to see like the outpouring of and actually people talking about the side quests being so detailed and a lot of thought put into them, not like your typical Ubisoft copy and paste formula side quests. And I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what I've been looking for now. When it comes to Game of the Year, my Game of the Year is still Elden Ring. I platinum like bad bit.
And you platinum it. I can't even beat the last boss. I got him down to a piece, and after like the 50th time, that mother effer,
Elden Beast is, yeah. Like I don't like that boss.
Look at the screen. This is what he had, and he flew all the way across the screen. He started shooting lasers and rays all over the place, and I died, and I was like, I don't have those controller throw moments. A, because they're expensive, and B, well, they're expensive, so I don't want to break any of them. I love my controllers, and I was like, I got to take a break. I have not been back. I'm going to beat that effing game one time or another. But that Elden Beast, the first guy, I mop him up like he's garbage.
Oh yeah. The first phase.
He's garbage. I've gotten so good at beating him. He don't even hit me once. It's that Elden Beast, though. Mother,
I really
father,
kind of
sister,
feel
brother,
like
boy.
I know this is like a tangent, but I kind of felt like From Software, they made such a big deal about you having torrent your horse, and you use torrent all throughout the game to traverse around the map and everything. And then in a lot of boss battles, you can use torrent in those boss battles. I thought it was a misstep on their part to
Not to,
have
because he
a
flies so far back
yeah,
that
he's
you
all
have to.
over. You got this
Yeah.
huge arena. He's flying. You start really whooping him, and then he flies like 5 miles away from you.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to get on your horse and
run after him. Yes.
right. Yeah, it's crazy. But no, yeah, I got the platinum for that game. I freaking love Elden Ring.
God
Elden
bless
Ring. I did a big review on it. On my channel, probably the last thing I really like truly uploaded, like put a ton of time in on my channel, but like I felt like I had to do a review on the game that like I felt like was a generation defining game. Now, is God of War Ragnarok a generation defining game? Don't know yet. We'll see, but I can't wait to
Right.
find out. I can't
Yeah,
like
no,
I'm day one on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think my anticipation to see how much better it is than the original God of War, which I thought, and like I said, I had called God of War 2018 my game of the year before that year Assassin's Creed came out. That year, I believe it was the one that was in Rome. It wasn't Origins. It was the one with the brother
Odyssey.
Odyssey. Yes, thank you so much for the save. Yeah, it was Odyssey, which I have, and I'm not kidding, folks. Go check my trophies and my stuff is all open for you. I have 40 days in Odyssey. 40 days. I have almost every achievement, I think, except for one or two. One of my favorite Assassin's Creeds of all time.
God bless.
And it just edged out Kratos because I spent so much time in there. But I'm like you, Somo. I can't wait to find out how good this game is or isn't. I mean, listen, maybe I play it, I'm like, man, I'm kind of disappointed. But for me, at the end of the year, I have a funny feeling that it's going to be Sonic Frontiers. I'm hoping it's going to be, and I'm very excited for that. I'm a platformer. I'm a Sonic lover. Elden Ring, Gotham Knights, and potentially God of War. They're all going to be fighting for place 1 through 4. I think Elden Ring might potentially take it. But I'm loving Gotham Knights so much, it's hard to say. But I might even love God of War even more. So we will certainly see. It's going to be, you know what? Isn't that a great feeling that you're having so many games to play that I don't know what's going to be first, second, third, or fourth? I think that is phenomenal. Like, I think my top 10 are going to be the hardest top 10 because, my friends and I, my brother Neo Mental, and my two very good friends, we do a Game of the Year show. Now, it's not meant to get views and clicks. We do it for fun. We've been doing it. I think this is going to be our 10th year doing it. We used to go to dinner before COVID, go to someone's house, have some drinks, go over the whole list, like big nerds. And it was a lot of fun. And we still do it. Grown-ass men with kids and married and everything, we still do it. And it's a lot of fun. But I want to bring in Web Dave on this. Dave, you're out here. You're seeing, the chatter. Again, Metacritic is... Listen, I'm not resting on Metacritic. I will say that I still think that it is broken. But I'm not here to fix it. They have to fix it.
Yep.
But a lot of people discount it. A lot of people hold it into high regard. And some people are lukewarm in the middle. I'm kind of lukewarm in the middle. But again, when all of these different spaces are coming together to put their scores in, and they're all raging about a particular game being great, you have to stop and look. You have to smell the flowers. What are your expectations for this? Were you a fan of God of War 2018, and what are you expecting with God of War Ragnarok?
I did like the last.
Oh, you're botting, brother. Oh, he's frozen. Yeah,
he's natural that he would start botting. You bot.
Yeah, right. Go figure. You know what, Dave? Jump back in, brother. We will come back to you, Fuzzy. Yeah. You're still frozen, Dave. So just jump out and jump back in. But Fuzzy, take that question. What for you? You obviously play a lot on PlayStation because you love Gran Turismo, even with its shortcomings, even though it had microtransactions that try to rake you over the coal, and you were very, very vocal about it. You put it out there for everyone to to know your feelings, but you are a racing, fan to the
Yeah.
core. So you have every right to have that opinion. But bringing back God of War, what are your thoughts on this, brother? What are you expecting, and what have you seen online that makes you excited for this game, but also disappoints you as a person, as a gamer?
I don't really have that much as far as disappointment, but I do want to say, and it's good to see that some of the reviewers are hinting to things where there's an improvement in not just the characters, character design, the interactions, the combat, and things along those lines. So you always want to see the next iteration of a game improve on what was great about the first one, and it sounds like they've done that. Now I haven't platinum the 2018. I'm about 70% through. But it's one of those things where I will probably wind up picking this up later, not just not day one, and it's not for any particular reason, but it's one of those things where I'm excited for to dive into that, but it'll be sometime next year because I'm still busy with some of my backlog that I'm kind of going through. And while I do like the reboot to God of War as opposed to the original, like even though I started on PlayStation, I didn't really care for the Jaffe version of God of War. But that's just me. But this newer version, or the 2018, more action RPG like version is what I prefer. But yeah, I'm excited that this thing is getting great scores. I'm excited that a lot of people are going to get to play this and be excited for it, especially after this was one of those that also got because of the pandy and whatnot, kind of got a bit of a delay, and now that it's released this year, that's just awesome to finally have it up for game of the year type of thing. But for me, I wasn't the biggest fan of Elden Ring, so my game of the year is probably going to differ from most overall. But yeah, it's great that that's even one of the games that's going to be considered for this year's game of the year. So that awesome all around. But like I said, not day one, but we'll eventually get it probably after things start to slow down after February next year, and see where my backlog is at from there.
Yeah, real quick, shout out to Layer Cake in the chat. He puts in something that's very interesting to the conversation. He says the devs that have their salary bonuses tied to Metacritic results are the ones that really should care. For us normal consumers, it's just another point of analysis of the game. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know that, and he's right. It's something that really far out of my mind. That yes, there are some companies that do have their developers bonuses tied into the Metacritic, which is bonkers. But I mean, I guess but yeah, I honestly, I have never been moved by Metacritic to buy or not buy a game. Gotham Knights was rated under a 60 before the game even came out, and it's practically my game of the year. So Metacritic doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. I've never bought a game. I mean, the way I used to buy a game back in the days, and you're going to laugh at this, Slomo, because you're maybe not as old as me, but you remember this. You look at the back of the box, like, well, that looks cool. I'm getting it. Right? That's that's how we used to buy games back in the day.
Right. Like
that was it over. That's how I bought Castlevania. I remember going to Playworld. Oh my God, Playworld. You guys remember that? That's how old I am. Playworld. I went and they had a whole wall. They had the little tickets you used to bring to the booth. Remember that? And I flipped over the thing and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I also bought a lot of really terrible NES games that way as well.
Oh, absolutely. You get fooled by the cool looking cover, and then you get to the game, and you're just like, wow, that's not
this is terrible. This is not the same game. Where's that cool ninja?
I always talk about my introduction to the RPGs was what over here was called Final Fantasy 2. But in worldwide was Final Fantasy 4. But like what really drew me in was the cover. It was just a very basic red background with the Final Fantasy logo and the sword like kind of going through it. And I was just like, oh, that looks cool. And I looked on the back and I was like, I don't know what this is, but all right, look, I'm in. This looks cool. I get it, and I'm just like, oh, I have never played a turn-based RPG before, and I was just like, oh, so we just stand in a line and take turns hitting each other? What? Like, I don't know if I'm into this, but then the story drew me in. Next thing you know, I'm a huge Final Fantasy
Now
fan.
and now
It's
now
just-
you're a fan of it. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, it's crazy how privileged a lot of the younger gamers are. Like, you have so much information at your fingertips,
Mhm.
whereas that's not how we grew up gaming. We grew up on a wish and a prayer. When it came to buying these games. So if you I put it to this way, folks, if you buy a bad game in this age, you got to look in the mirror and just yell at yourself, because there's no reason for it with all the information out there. Back in the days when my mom and my pops would take me over to Toys R Us or Play World or EB Games, if I picked a bad game, it's because that cover looks really good and they bamboozled me. So I'm the one to blame back in the day. But Dave, are you back, sir?
Yep.
Well, let's get your opinion on this. God of War.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on this being considered even better? But again, there are some, and then this is subjective, folks. So please don't boo the host. There are some folks out there that are saying that besides it being a master class level of design from Sony Santa Monica, I have read not once, not twice, not even 3 times, multiple times, this is the best PlayStation game to date. What does that do for your expectation and your hype level coming into God of War, which releases next week?
Well, I definitely want to try it. Definitely want to play it. There was the last game was really good. This one looks really good. Not a big, huge super fan of the game. I mean, it's a great game. Let's just say that. Don't upset Joe. But I'm just kidding, man. But
no,
it's,
you can listen. You can hate it. That's fine.
no, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I
Alright.
mean, it's not my favorite game, but
Yeah, it's fine.
but but I definitely would like to play it, sure, because I like
Yeah.
playing games. So it definitely looks like one I would definitely want to try. Definitely want to get into. I know there was one. Was it like the Korean IGN or something like that that gave it like a 6 out of 10 or something like that, and which I don't necessarily think it was deserved at all, but man, Sony fanboys were losing their mind. Like, how dare you kind of, give it that kind of score? And I was real surprised that they actually did it. But yeah, so that was, I don't know. That's the only thing that just kind of jumps out at me, that's not that, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that somebody necessarily doesn't like it, then they get, beat all to hell for it. So I don't think that's
Yeah.
fair. I don't think that's right.
Well, I mean, it's the same with the Call of Duty thing, right? Like,
Right. Mhm.
the one person rated it a 6.
Yep.
Okay, and then but everyone attacked him, and
Yeah.
it's like, it's just those guys. It's just an opinion. It's just subjective, and then we're trying to Bob Woodward our way to an investigation of how did they let this happen? It's like, because the guy thought it was a 6, so he rated it a 6. And
Yeah.
for me, I take a look at that and I'm just like, okay, I rated a lot higher on my personal rating, but that doesn't that doesn't reflect on me as a person, that score or my taste. It's like,
Yeah.
I really love Call of Duty and I wouldn't have given it a 6, but to each his own.
Yes,
You
I
don't
agree.
have to attack the reviewer. I give a lot of props to a lot of reviewers because they make it look really simple, but to try to break down a game to its ingredients is way more difficult than a lot of people, especially on Twitter, like to make it out to be. And I hate that. So listen, that IGN Korea or whatever, listen, they thought it was a 6. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
And just and this is how affected I am.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be different if it was like they rated it a 2 and then they're consistently giving poor scores to multiple PlayStation games.
Yeah.
Then you think fanboy influence.
It's like the Sevator site or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Like they
Yep.
are unabashedly they stoke the flame wars a lot. And
Yeah.
every single time a PlayStation game does come out, it's like, oh, it's a 6 or a 7. And so what I do is just not to say that those aren't truthful reviews either, but again, it's about shopping where you like or where you at least feel like there they have a good perspective or share your perspective on
Right.
games. That's why like the first person I go to when I'm looking for a review is not IGN, it is Skilled Up. Because he's the best YouTuber out there. He's the best reviewer, and it's in depth. It's 30 minutes long. You're understanding why. I would love to move out of the way of scores because I don't feel like it's helpful. You know, I want to talk about why you recommended this game or why you don't.
See,
Agreed.
and I'm on that
Hey.
same page of, is it for me or is it not for me? Or is it
Yeah.
a maybe? And then leave it at that versus putting those numbers in there, because then those numbers are very definitive that people will misconstrue and use to, you know, their narration of what they want.
Exactly.
Hey, Joe, I would say for me, I would much rather listen to someone like you who was going to play the game because I respect your opinion.
Yep.
Than to listen to IGN and anything that they say. I mean, I don't know. There's good people that work there, but they don't seem to have, you know, always the best interest at heart of the consumer. They seem to have a lot of the, you know, what's going to get us likes, what's going to get us clicks, what's going to get us that and that. But like I said, I totally respect your opinion, and you know, and because of that, I would play the game.
And it's such a multifaceted thing too, because when you take a look at like IGN, like for example, like they rated Gotham Knights, I think off the top of my head, like a 5 or a 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they had like a deal with Gotham Knights to promote it on their site.
Yeah.
And so the problem with, I feel like, and I feel like this is the biggest quote unquote problem, because I have no problem with any reviewer for the most part, but I feel the conflict that gamers see is indicative of IGN is this multifaceted thing where the marketing team doesn't talk to the review team or doesn't talk to the content creation side. It is an octopus of a company.
Yep.
And so that's why gamers get really caught or defensive about IGN, because it is such a big site that like you can't tell who you don't know who reviewed, like, you know, Call of Duty,
right?
But like it's kind of designed that way where, you know, I know like Travis is an amazing reviewer, and if I know he reviewed a thing, I'm going to listen to it and understand his perspective. But not a lot of people share that because, again, it's this huge monstrosity of an organization.
Yeah.
And
So,
then you got like
I
the
think
one
a lot of the
guy.
hate for them came because they had a lot of horrible reviews too. Like, oh, too much water. Remember that?
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, people remember like the silly reviews.
You know
Or
what,
the
though?
guy that
Too
plagiarized, the guy that they had on
Yes.
staff that was plagiarizing
Yes.
Nintendo reviews. Like,
Oh, yeah, good
it's
point.
when you're a big monolith like that, like IGN is, you gotta end up owning the plagiarists as well as the guys that are great reviewers as well. I kind of feel like, I've said this for a while, that I feel like
Agreed.
review scores do a disservice to everyone. They do a disservice to the gamer, because it's basically telling you, oh, this game is only worth this, a particular numerical value, but that doesn't really define the game, and it does a disservice to the actual reviewers who are putting the time in writing or creating this review. Because when you put a score on it, the majority of people aren't really paying attention to your review. They're skipping down to where the score is, and then they're defining their entire opinion on your opinion based upon whatever grades you gave a game. They're not even reading your review or watching your review and seeing what you're actually saying about it, which is the reason why when I do reviews, I don't do any score. I give a recommendation or not a recommendation, but that forces people to actually pay attention to what I'm saying. And also the reason I like ACG, because ACG either gives you a recommend or wait for a sale or just don't buy it at all, and he breaks it all down. It forces you to actually look at exactly what he's talking about, because then you get the detail and the context of what the reviewer is going through, what he said, and how their actual feelings are about the game, and not just, oh, it's a 6. Oh, it's 8.5.
And that's why I like Skilled Up, because it's like, oh, I want to know why you don't recommend this game or that game, and the sad reality of it, and whether it's like, you know, the sad reality is that the numbers get people to the site and get the clicks. That's why The big sites do it. That's why you see little sites do it. That number means a lot, not just for the publisher, for the bonuses aspect of the thing, of the business, but for the review side of the business as well. That's what gets butts and seats.
I tell you
So,
one thing though,
it's the sad reality.
The thing that I'm looking forward to the most is trying out the Gotham City Knights, just because it's BoomStick approved.
That's right.
He's absolutely going nuts for it. So I'm like, I gotta try this. I mean, if Boom likes it that much,
Yeah.
I want to try it. So
And
there you go.
and
That's all
the
I
thing
got.
is too,
Thank you,
like,
sir.
to
I
fix the
appreciate that.
PC version.
oh, I can't touch a mouse and keyboard to save my life. But like, like Luke Lore loves Gotham Knights as well. It's like, it's just a fun game. And I love
Randall
what he said.
Thor is about to 1,000 out of 1. He can't stop playing. He loves it so much he's playing through it again on New Game Plus.
And that's awesome. And like, even when like I was talking to Luke about it, he's like, yeah, and like all the things that Travis says, they're accurate. It's just like, but it's like mileage varies. And I think
Yes.
that with the internet, we just kind of fail to see that like your mileage varies. And for the most part, at the end of the day too, most people don't care. I said this on the trophy room this week, is my brother for the first time played The Last of Us remake on PlayStation 5 for the first time because he wants to get prepared for the TV show. He loved it, absolutely adored it, and it's awesome to hear because it's one of my favorite games. And now he's playing through part 2 and he's enjoying it, and it's getting out of the way of all the bull crap that we see and that is fed to us by Twitter influencers of how we should feel on something. It's so refreshing to see someone who knows nothing of what's the controversies here or there. He's just going in and he's just liking it. He's not just consuming it, but he's experiencing it for the first time with no influence, and he's digging his time. That's the thing I feel like is lost on most people, that even like if it's a 6 out of 10 or whatever, like Call of Duty still made almost $1 billion in 3 days. So
which is why Microsoft wants them, and which is why Microsoft is going to keep that game on everything, even a potato.
Absolutely. Yeah, Web Dave's got the sound clip for that, I bet. The competition thing. Go for it.
Go for it, Dave. Drop it like it's hot. If you want competition, give us competition. But
so if this is about competition, let us have competition.
There you go. I love it. And Satya Nadal, who's better than that guy? That guy's a good-looking old man for sure. No doubt about that. But Umbra, let's get your opinion. But Umbra, before I do, oh my God, I got to catch up on some of the super chats. And I missed one. Sith Lord, generous friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat up front. He says, congratulations on your 1,000th episode in 5 years. Thank you so much for that. That's very kind of you, brother. He drops one as a reminder that I missed one. So he didn't have to do that, but thank you so much for the additional $2. And he drops a third $2 super chat. Says, congratulations. Thank you so much for that. Raiden Blade, who's been a member for a year, thank you so much for the generosity, my brother. He drops a £5 super chat. Says, I don't trust reviews anymore, especially when it comes to Sony games. We know that Sony will block you if you give their game a low rate survivor. Yeah, and that's a fact, folks. I mean, but I don't see something like this. I don't know. I mean, like
they all do that, by the way.
What's that? They all do that. Well, there you go.
As a guy that works in PR, I'm going to tell you this. They all do that.
Yeah.
Joe, did you get a demo copy? Did you get an early copy?
Yeah.
Nice.
Especially Nintendo.
I don't recall.
Nintendo will cut your legs out from under you. They're vicious, and they may even sue you too. So
can you give us an idea of when Microsoft did that? Because I don't recall them ever complaining about Microsoft. I've seen them complain about Sony.
What
the reviewers
like
getting a block? Yeah, I've never heard a Microsoft story where they blocked you from getting a copy.
Oh.
Like what's his name? Matty Plays. He talked about it, how they didn't give him a review, and the other guy said he made a favorable tone, so they didn't get a review.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that as of recently, Nintendo, Jesus, Microsoft's absolutely the best when it comes to that, because they really want, like, for example, a game like Pentiment that's coming out. I know they are flooding stuff with with that game, because a lot of it is they want people to look at their stuff.
Yeah.
But they all do it. Any PR agency that's worth a damn is going to look at the person that's reviewing it and has a green list, a red list, and a black list. And if they don't have that, they're not worth they're not a good PR agency.
Can you all imagine? Can you imagine, by the way, like, anybody want to play some Pentiment? Well, God of War is out there. Anybody want to play some Pentiment?
and that's exactly why, like, here's a cool PR thing for those of you that don't know. Sometimes when a game is going to review poorly, there's two ways about it. They'll either restrict review codes for certain folks that they feel are going to be a little bit fairer to them. They're going to restrict codes greatly. Or if they feel like this could be better for the smaller influencers, they'll actually flood codes to creators to kind of balance out the negativity, so that it's more noise and it's less coherent of like, oh, this game sucks. This game's not great. I can't give examples because I would get in a lot of trouble, but that's what typically PR agencies
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They don't want a consensus. They don't want a consensus that this game is bad. So they flooded the people who, will give it a fair, like, who aren't like, this is my 20th review this month. And compared to, they have a difficult time separating this game from the masterpiece they just played, and just like, oh, this is just trash. Whereas someone else is like, they're going to give it the fair shot. I mean, when it comes to Pentiment,
I mean, to your point, Slow-Mo, you're absolutely right. It's a slippery slope. Let's just say that reviewing is a slippery slope, and how they dole these codes out. I mean, listen, I'm a Microsoft huge fan, and I don't get everything. I don't get every code, and that's fine. I don't really do reviews on the channel. I talk about them, so that's probably what it is. I don't do what SkillUp does, what ACG does, or Rand, or I just don't have time to put in that much. I stream 5 days a week. When am I gonna have time, right? But
I mean,
let me.
Sorry.
No. Say what you want to say.
It's also like Nintendo. Nintendo's notorious for like being really stingent on codes.
Oh yes.
One of the reasons why they do that is like gamers are like they know gamers. We got you locked down. You're gonna go buy that Legend of Zelda, whatever they're pushing on you. Their thing is family focused. So instead of giving a bunch of codes to reviewers, who they give codes to and access to is lifestyle influencers. So people with like, here's my family of 4.
Wow.
I'm a dad, I'm a mom, I'm gonna teach, like, because it's about bringing the kids in, because they know it's the parents that are going to buy.
I can see
whatever.
Microsoft doing
that makes sense. That's
many super chats. Oh my God.
Yes.
PR strategy is fun, guys. I could do this for days.
Yes. All right, well, so let's continue. All right, because we do have someone asked in the chat, are we covering Eidos-Montréal Crystal D? Yes, that is absolutely next. We just got to get Infinite's opinion, Dreadpool, and we're going to cover that because we're going to go first to Slow-Mo. Like myself, has this tinfoil hat theory that I think he's 1,000% correct on saying, but we'll get to that momentarily. Elemental PO drops not one but 2 additional super chats. One of $5 and says, just bring back the EGM facial expression reviews. And he said the second one is that my bad, it was Game Pro. And yeah, I agree. I liked that happy face and the terrible sad face crying. That was great.
I remember that with Game Pro.
Brett Bingham, who's been a member for a month, thank you so much for that. He drops a $5 super chat and says, congrats on 1K. And he asks, are you covering Eidos and Crystal D? Yes, we certainly are. And Game Pass Weekly, good chaps over there. Go follow them on Twitter. They give you all the hot updates to everything that's launching onto Xbox Game Pass. They've been a channel member for a month, and they drop a $2 super chat and says, love you, Boom and panel. That is all. Well, we love you too, brother. Thank you so much for that. We also have Why So Serious? Thank you, brother. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, happy 1K. And thank you for the generosity, brother. And of course, the congratulatory statement. We also have Paul drops a $2 super chat. And thank you for the generosity, Paul. Welcome to the program. He says, what are young guys' most anticipated game? What are your guys' most anticipated game 2023? For me, it's Starfield, because it's the first new IP in a decade. For for
Todd
Bethesda,
Howard.
and I want to see if they can deliver on this water cooler moment where Slow-Mo's going to play the game, Joe's going to play the game, you guys are going to find a different weapon, a different planet, a different race. I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to say, holy crap, you guys are not going to believe this. I just got this laser ray that disintegrates. You can say, I just got this ray that just shoots a black hole into the spot. And the way that this is going to happen is I hope that we all have these experiences that we may not share, but we can talk about, because the game is, these planets are going to be procedurally generated. So everything is going to be different for everyone. And I think that just if you take a step back, the scope of how big this game is actually going to be and how many different stories it's going to tell for each individual player is going to be very, very special. But let me
Starfield
continue.
for me as well.
I'm gonna say, dude, 2023 is a stat.
It's ridiculous.
Like, everything. Because for
it
me,
is.
I think it'd be Redfall.
I like that. I like that pick. Redfall is going to be great
Redfall.
single player, but Redfall is also going to be one of those games. I again, this is just me shooting out the box here, Joe. I have a feeling Redfall potentially has the legs of a Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, where you're going to go back with your friends time and time and time and time again. And that's what I'm hoping for, because listen, let's call a spade. That developer, they don't miss.
No,
they don't freaking miss.
Yeah. For me, it's
they're like Dead Space.
Yeah.
Like,
Dead Space is good.
And then like Diablo 4.
It's like too. What's yours, Slow-Mo?
For me, it's a tie between Fire Emblem Engage and Spider-Man.
Oh, you loved Fire Emblem. Yes, I know you did. Yes.
Yeah, Three Houses was my game of the year in 2019. So seeing this one, man, that's I can't wait for January.
We also got Zelda dropping next year. You got a lot of games, a lot of major games.
Next year's going to be crazy.
It's going to be Game Pass is going to be big, because it's going to save me a lot of money. But I'm spending a lot of money. So I'm saying, folks, I say this public service message every year. We're coming into the holidays. Do what I do. Take your gift cards that the mamas and the papas and your girlfriends and your boyfriends, everybody gives you, tuck it into your underwear drawer and forget it that exists. So when the games come out, you can just go buy it. That's what I do. Hargeet Chani, Hargeet, what's going on, brother? Welcome. He's been a channel member for 2 months. He drops a $10 super chat and says, I can see why Ragnarok may not resonate with Eastern audiences. Kind of bored of seeing the same EU stuff myself. Greek gods mixed with Norse. There's a world beyond the EU. God of War Ragnarok doesn't excite me either. And again, that's a strong point. I mean, listen, he's being honest, and you know what? You were entitled to that point. But thank you for being here, Hargeet, and thank you for the generosity. Masshole 1977, who's been a channel member for 24 months, says, congrats, Boom. You don't look a day over 1,000. I appreciate that, because yes, I am an old man. DJ Birdo DOS drops a $20 super chat. Wow, thank you for the generosity. He says, achievement unlocked, Boom. And that's really cool. Thank you. Here's to 1,000 more. As always, another great show and panel. Thank you so much. And Tim the Sorcerer. Tim, what's going on, brother? He drops a £2 super chat and says, congrats on 1K and belated birthday to Mrs. Boom. Thank you for the very, very generous super chat, as well as the kind sentiment. But Umbra, let's get your opinion about God of War. Let's get Dreadpool's opinion, who got in late here from work. So we're glad to have Dreadpool a part of today's amazing show. What are your thoughts on the scores? Are you surprised?
Not at all. I expected it to be at least in the 90s. It makes sense. I thought maybe it would get a bit of a higher 90, but 94, man, that's pretty solid. I mean, you got
actually sitting at a 95.
I just checked again. It's a 94 again.
Oh, it's okay, because I just saw it a second ago, and here's the number of reviews. Check this out, folks. 117 is what the amount of reviews. That is so ironic.
This is Sierra 117, God of War. No, man. Honestly, I'm not surprised by it at all. I expected it to be great. I think most of us did. I don't think any of us thought like they're going to drop the ball here. Nah, that Sony Santa Monica is one of the best studios in the game, so we all expected them to do well here. The thing I will say though, because I heard you guys talking about it, you mentioned it a while ago. They're like, oh, like Gene Park, and I like Gene, and he was like, oh, it's the best side quest. Witcher 3 got beat up. I'm like, I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't believe it. I will play it and I will find out. If it is, I will acknowledge it. But I'm telling you right now, I don't believe that. I even wrote it on Twitter. I was like, I used that gif of "I don't believe you" from Anchorman. I don't. I just honestly don't believe that. I'll have to see.
Well, you know what? That's first of all, a lot of people like. First of all, I like Gene Park. I do. He's one of the
Good
ones
guy.
that I do like. He is funny. Again, like I said, like a lot of us, sometimes he stokes the fires a little bit. Now, again, I can't know if he's doing it as just jiving or he's doing it to generate, activity. Whichever way he does it, I do like his stuff. And when I read that, you see, here's the thing, folks, and please don't unsub and hate me. I don't like Witcher 3.
What?
No,
I'm about to unsub myself.
I know. It's a deep dark secret that I'm not ashamed to admit. I tried to play it 3 different times. I got 10 hours each time, and I hated the crafting system. I hated the inventory system. I hated it all. Hey, listen, we got Pong So dropping in here as well to make his appearance. We'll get to you in a second, Pong. Thanks so much for joining us, brother. It's really cool, but. Yeah, I mean, like
Boom,
I said,
you're not alone. You're not alone.
Oh, well, thank you there.
That game is overrated, yo.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm subscribing to both of you.
It's I have tried to play The Witcher 3 separate times on 3 separate platforms, and I always quit at the same point. And it's just
I beat the first boss. I get to the first town. There's a lady that's trapped in a house that's calling for help. I can't figure out how to get her out. And I'm like, yeah, this is just not for me.
I can't get past the Red Baron quest. I did on PC get past the Red Baron quest, mostly because I was just kind of like testing my build and just like, oh, look how it performs on PC.
But, so both of you just quitters. That's all it is. It's not the game.
I'm in that crew too. Wait.
How many games you beat this year?
Wait. I'm in that crew too. By the way,
this year. What I'm saying.
Okay. So it is a house that has.
I'm going to be trying for the 3rd time when they drop that current gen patch. So once more.
Wait. Did you beat it, Pong, or are you saying you're trying to beat it?
No, I'm trying for the 3rd time.
Oh Lord, what is this? It's an epidemic.
I'm sorry.
I don't
The combat just takes me out.
CDPR is good at writing stories, and the reason why I think Gene Park has said what he said about Ragnarok side stories is that if they are well written, then that's a change, a break from what you typically get from side quests. They're usually a very copy and paste Ubisoft kind of thing.
Right.
And if they're well written, then I can see why people would be like, oh, I'm really invested in the side quest, and it's unique and different from other side quests. Now, I do understand with CDPR because I played Cyberpunk.
Someone on a boat?
What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
that actually sounded like a tool.
It's time for the purge.
It sounded like the purge. Yeah, it sounded like the purge.
Oh man, hey, look, man. Hey, you guys purging me for not liking The Witcher 3. I'm sorry. No, like, I mean, like, I played Cyberpunk, and I played it again after it was actually fixed, and like, I can appreciate the story and what they were trying to do there. I know CDPR is very talented in that, but like the combat in Witcher 3 is just it's sad. It's like the previous 2 games had even worse combat than that one, but the combat's lacking.
Oh
and it's the lacking combat that makes me just like go play something else.
You all
look, it's okay. Listen, it's okay to have a different opinion. It just so means that half the panel agrees, half the panel disagrees. But Umbra, let's continue, because I do want to get to Dreadpool and we'll get Pungso, and then we're going to get into Crystal Dynamics and Eidos. So, folks, here's the thing. I know that we're going to be talking about it in a very, very deep hypothetical bubble. But what the way that Slow-Mo is going to break it down, there's something here. I've always been the guy where there's smoke, there's fire, even though I'm not a fire whacker. I understand that it starts out with a spark, then it goes to smoke, and then it becomes a blaze. I think that there's something here. And his theory about companies doing certain things makes a lot of sense. And again, Pong Soul is a huge fan of the head of Embracer. He considers him the Phil Spencer of the EU, where they are. And we'll get to him momentarily, but please continue on, bro. Let's get your opinion about God of War.
Yeah, but just going back, I'm really interested in seeing how the side quests play out because it didn't seem like they would go that route to me. I do like the ambition that they set out to make something greater than the Witcher side quests. So that's interesting to see. I like that. So there's not just some type of copy paste from the 2018 game in that regard. So that's cool. I expected the combat to be largely the same. I'm pretty sure it is, and that's fine. To me, the thing I feel like that when a lot of people like, oh, you didn't change enough here. I don't think if something works well enough, I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel. That's the way I look at it. If it works previously, and you just kind of I guess tinker with that a bit and kind of add here and there little pieces. That is more than fine with me. Um, I'm I was interested to see if they would add a jump button to it to have you actually jump in combat and stuff. They didn't. It is what it is. But I expected the game to be great, man. I'm looking more forward to the story than anything and seeing how they conclude this. And I'm surprised that it was, concluded in the second game instead of a trilogy. But yeah, I expected these scores, and then Sony, like I said, Sony Santa Monica is a great studio, so this is not a surprise at all. And of course, people were online and rubbing in the Xbox like myself face. So yeah, but I mean, hey, jokes on them. I got me a PS5. I'm playing this game too. So, and I got the $10 coverage from Risk It after beating him in Fight Night. So he's going to take care of that. I'm good. But
well,
yeah,
there you
man.
go. I mean, listen, that's the least you can do after stealing your name. I'm just gonna
Exactly.
say, I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I be in your corner. But Dreadpool, let's get your opinion, brother. First of all, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. I know it was a tough night that you got here. You were just literally just coming in from work. What are your thoughts on the God of War scores? Are they expected? Are they inflated like some are suggesting in the community?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
They're also deflated just as much.
Yep.
So we know we have the extremists that will overinflate anything that comes from either Sony or Nintendo or Xbox, right? Anything that goes to those particular brands, there will be the extremists that will inflate it, just the same as the haters that are the extremists, and they will zero it out. We saw that with Zelda. It had a perfect 10 all the way across, and somebody just said, you know what? I don't like the fact that I got a perfect 10. I'm going to give it a 0 just so it throws off that number. So there's a lot of emotion that comes into these, which, that's why I always say, yamena, yeah, meh, or nah, but this is also my point of view, versus giving numbers out, and I try to refrain from numbers, because of that, so is it for me?
You're not the
Yeah.
only one there, Dredd. A lot of
No.
people on the panel already said that they just want to give a review. So you read the review and you can hear what I'm saying rather than scrolling down
Right.
to the bottom and just grabbing a number.
And that's the main thing, because now I'm actually telling you why. And that's, like everybody else has said, there's a why behind it. Why is it for me? Why is it not for me? Why is it a maybe? I'm not feeling it now. But, and here's the other beauty, right? We're all humans. We all have a brain. We all have opinions. But as we get more information, our opinions are allowed to change. We can do that. And some people will hold you to the fire and say, you know what? You gave this a 10. But everybody that knows that's in this, that gets review copies, knows that it's not even usually not the actual game that is being released. You get a pre-version of the game. So what you're reviewing is not even the updated version. So you may not have any issues. We've seen other people that have reviewed games and said everything was great, this, and this. And as soon as it launched, they did the update, day one update, and it just crashed everything. So that's why, when you look at these reviews, day one, day two, ignore it. Ignore all that stuff. Use people like we do. We trust each other in the community. We know who likes these type of games. Those are the people we refer to. That's why we say in the media, when it just sucks because we talked about Travis. He's a great reviewer, but guess what? Travis isn't always going to get that game. There's also people that get games that they don't play those style of games, that they don't understand the nuances of certain games. So you have somebody that's playing hockey that's going to review Forza Motorsport or is going to review The Witcher. You know what I mean? Those aren't in their wheelhouse. but it's going to trickle down to them to do a review. So you'll have what I would say is more of a unbiased but uneducated review.
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're not in the wheelhouse of those games. But if that person, Travis, right? Destiny through and through. He knows Destiny. So if he reviews something on Destiny, one of the expansions, I'm going to hold him as everything he says is knowledgeable because he knows what he's talking about. When it comes to stuff like that, that's where you have to pick and choose who you're listening to. And sometimes we know these bigger publishers will just drop it down to somebody, and you have to look at that number and then correlate it with, look, is this person this type of gamer? And read the review. They should be telling you, yeah, this is not my preferred type of game. And this is, for someone that's coming into this is, more of a non-preferred player of this type of game, genre, whatever. But this is what I think. And then you could take that and make your own opinion from there, right? It's supposed to be a tool, and people are not using reviews as tools. They're using them as God's spoken word, and nobody is God, right? Everybody is an opinion. They have their own backstories. They have their own backgrounds that they've that have formed their opinions and ideas. You guys were talking about who was that, Joe, that you were talking about?
Lore and how I slept with his mother.
Yeah, that too. No, what's
Skilled
his name? Skilled Up. Yes, you like him. Guess what? Unpopular opinion. I can't stand him.
That's fair.
To me, he's very pompous. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, don't listen to him. Don't do this. Don't do that. We have two people here have differing opinions on somebody else's style of review. He likes them. I'm not going to say anything bad. It's just, to me, that's not my thing. But it's also a tool. This is a tool I choose not to use in my decision making. Joe is looking at it as this is a tool that I will use. We were talking about Batman, Gotham Knights, right? Boom and Rand love the game, and when they first came out, we heard that it was a bad game, but then again, it's the same thing. People are making this out to be an Arkham game. It's not an Arkham game. It's its own thing. And we have to remember each game is its own piece of artwork. And this is what we have to relate it to. Yes. Is it involved in the Batman universe? Yes, it is. But it's not an Arkham game. Just because they made it, they made this, and you put them together and now they're making something else. And you can't relate the artistic work that they've put into these things, right? Witcher, we complained about The Witcher, but yet we got Cyberpunk 2027, right? Or 2077. So we got that. They're the same thing, but two different games, two different styles, two different things, but built by the same people because they have a different mindset. No one's really comparing The Witcher to Cyberpunk. But yet we are still doing that in the community and on Twitter. People are pulling these things together and making stuff up. And that's, we need to refrain from that.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think that you really should pick like Dreadpool's saying, pick your favorite reviewer. If you trust them, you go to them. If you want a second opinion, then go to someone else. Again, everyone has an opinion. My father used to say all the time, it's like an a-hole. Everyone has one, right? So, deal with that. But listen, we're going to come back to you in a moment, Dread. Pong, real quick, let's get your opinion on the God of War scores, and then we're going to get right into the Crystal Dynamic and Eidos-Montréal joining Xbox Game Studios, because I think that there's something to it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on 1,000, Boom.
Thank you, brother.
I had a couple things coming up this morning. I got to get to the office, but I did want to stop in and say hi. So I
appreciate
I can't
it
stay for the
brother.
entire show, but I definitely
no, that's okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For a couple, but great to see you all too, brothers. By the way, and chat, you're all looking amazing this morning. It's Friday morning. Welcome. Listen, God of War reviews, they are, listen, like Dredd said, it's an opinion. Like everybody agrees, it's an opinion. Every human being is going to have different biases, different things they look for. You know, what I use opinions for, first of all, I do find a couple people that I trust or that I have found that like similar styles
Yes.
like myself, and that's who I go to. But one thing you can take away from like a God of War or any big release that comes out, when you've got 120, 150 reviews, if you look at more than just even the people that you normally trust, you can find overarching consensus, right? You can
Yes.
find, that's what I look for. And that's what I found in the God of War reviews. Not everybody's going to look at the game the same way. Not everybody's, you know, like Dredd was saying, everybody's going to play the game differently. Everybody's going to walk into that review with a certain, you know, type of bias or whatever the case may be that might affect something. But if you can get overarching kind of consensus from that many reviewers, there's something to that. There's substance to that. And that's what I look for. And with the God of War reviews, again, I found that. Again, Sony Santa Monica, even though Cory Barlog did not lead this one, they took a look at what they did in 2018 and they said, listen, we invented the wheel over here. Okay? It works great. We're not going to all of a sudden decide that we're going to make this thing square now that we found a round wheel. But what we're going to do is we're going to add some rubber to that thing. And we're going to make it work a little bit better. And I think that that's what you can take away from these reviews. They built upon what they made in 2018, and they just did it bigger and better. And I think that for me, that's all that really matters. And I think the scores are justified when you look at that. Because if you took something that everybody believes, or I shouldn't say everybody, because for me, God of War was a really good game. Nothing drew me in. It didn't make me want to finish it. Nothing like that. But for a lot of people, it was game of the generation. Okay, so if you take that and you build upon that and you come out with something bigger and better, the scores are justified then. Again, it's hard to do with a sequel. That's why we don't see it, whether it's movies, whatever the case may be, whatever you look at. When you try to create a sequel, a lot of people go in and try to,
it's a rarity to see one better. Yeah.
And that's because you see people walk in and say, well, we can't just do that again. We got to change it. We got to make it something different. No. Just build upon what you already did and just make it better. And that's exactly what I feel like from reading these reviews that Sony Santa Monica did. So I think the scores are justified. And again, at the end of the day, it's just a score. At the end of the day, if it wins Game of the Year, it's just an award. It's a big deal to the devs. It's nice and pretty to put on the front of the boxes later on saying Game of the Year, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the player. The player has to enjoy it. Like we were just talking about with The Witcher, considered one of the greatest games. I love CDPR. I love everything about The Witcher. I really do. Combat just didn't fit with me. I'm going to try it again because I love that game so much that I want to actually finish it. But again, maybe it won't click for me. Same for God of War. If you're going to go out there and enjoy it, enjoy the hell out of it. It doesn't matter if it came out as a 60 or if it comes out as a 90. At the end of the day, it's you, it's the player.
Yep.
But again, with this many reviewers, it's kind of all saying the same thing. I think it's justified and I think it's worthy.
I think they were all paid off. They are all paid off.
Yeah, they're all paid.
All
of them getting
150
checks.
people.
All
Yes. Every site. I agree. I love it.
Not bad for some DLC, by the way. I'm just saying all the slanderous things that a bot would say.
You know what's funny though? You say DLC. It is DLC, right?
Mm.
But what's a sequel? A sequel is technically more expanded from the first
universe.
One, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point.
Is that not what DLC is anyway? More expansion.
Going to get
only
philosophical on his
piece.
He wanted to bring some common sense into the conversation. I love it.
But that's that's the thing. There's a lot of people. Yes, is it expansion? Yes, but it's also more than that. They've done more than that to justify it to be in its own standalone piece.
60 to 80 hours, I would say so, Dre.
Yeah, I absolutely. And this is going to be one of those games I put 60 or 70 hours into for sure. But listen, folks. First of all, I'll get to the super chats real quick. We had JD Gamer gifted 10 Double Barrel Gaming subscriptions for the channel. And then right after that, Ice Cold gifted 5. That's 15 new members. Thanks to two very generous people. Thank you so much for that. Very kind of you. Until recently, I didn't even know you can do that. Someone did it live on the air. I'm like, what is that? Gifting? I don't. What is that?
You can do that either.
Go figure. But Slow-mo, I want to go to you first here. And then I'm going to bring Pong Sol in because he's our Embracer professional for sure. And then we'll get everyone in and get your opinion on what we're talking about. And then we'll read the super chats and we'll get everyone out here so you can start your Friday. Slow-mo, you and I have a very similar thought process. Now, look, I've said it before, where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay, so right now, Perfect Dark is being done by 2 studios, specifically more Crystal Dynamics than even the Initiative. The Initiative, what they were meant to do was start a project, and then another team was initially going to come in and finish off their original version. I'm not sure if that's how it's working with the Initiative anymore. A lot of things have changed, but here's the thing. Crystal Dynamics is not owned by Microsoft. It was a company owned by Square who threw them under the bus, and Embracer Group picked them up for basically pennies. Well, if that's the only thing, then you can say, well, they were already working with Microsoft, and Embracer has a good relationship with Xbox, so they're going to let them finish the project. But we just learned, folks, that Fable is being done by multiple studios. Not only is it being done by Playground Games, but it's also being done by Eidos-Montréal, who has done something as recent as Guardians of the Galaxy, which was phenomenal. One of the best games of last year that no one played. Phenomenal game. That's 2 studios that are owned by Embracer. Now, I said this before, and I'm going to say it live on the air for Slow-Mo and everyone that's here. When these studios were sold to Embracer, it broke my heart. It literally, I felt like dread come on to me because I really thought that these 2 studios are what Microsoft needs. And I say that because, like Cognito has said on the Iron Lords podcast, we are waiting for the hashtag just one. There are 2 studios that have the ability and the talent and the manpower and woman power, for that matter, to deliver an over-the-shoulder, story-driven, adult-themed content that we have been asking for on the Xbox. God of War is a prime example of what makes Sony great, right? You can say all you want about, they're all so samey. Good for you. I like those. That's why I have a PlayStation 5. I'm a selfish gamer. I like single-player, story-driven events. God of War is right up my alley. I want God of War-type games on the Xbox. They are coming. Yes. We're getting that with Hellblade. We're getting that with Fable. We're going to get that with potentially the Compulsions game. We are going to get those games. They are coming. But these 2 studios have the chops. So, Slow-Mo, please explain to the fans. We have over 450 people here.
King is here too.
Okay. Excellent. Oh, let me bring him in here. There he is. Hold on. There he is, King David, 84 on the scene. My bro, he got the stack of money.
Sorry. I was sitting in the background with
the stack of money.
The
I
king
love it.
has returned.
Slow-Mo, please, for everyone that's here, explain to the audience why you think Embracer is eventually going to sell these 2 studios to Microsoft.
Well, I think you did a pretty good summary. I'll try to fill in some of the details. And what's up, King? What's up, man?
It's very good that me and you are at the same podcast together talking about something that you spearheaded and I just clarified in straight language. So hello, everyone.
Hello, King David.
Yeah, and I can't wait. Go ahead, sir.
What's up, brother?
So look, Crystal Dynamics is a big, long-time studio. This studio has been in existence for like 30 years. And in the 30 years of their existence, they've never been a support studio. But now they're a support studio. Eidos-Montréal has done very, very little support work, and now they are a support studio. So let's go back to Square Enix, as you said, throwing these studios under the bus multiple times publicly to shareholders, to everyone. It didn't reach the sales expectations that we thought it did with Marvel's Avengers, with Guardians of the Galaxy. They sell these assets in 50 IP to Embracer Group for like anywhere between $300 and $350 million, which literally everyone was just like, not that they sold it, because that wasn't a shock, because they've been talking badly about these studios that clearly didn't value them, but for the price they sold them for. Clearly, they were trying to get rid and unload of these assets as quickly as possible, and they weren't really in the need to negotiate for fair value. You take Embracer, who has more IP and more studios than any other entity out there in the video game industry, and you have these studios that are far more valuable to other companies than they are to you. Already, when they acquired them, Crystal Dynamics was already working with the initiative. Now we know Eidos-Montréal is working with Playground Games to help make Fable reboot, which makes sense. When you think about that, Forza Tech, the engine that they're using for Fable, is a engine that has been used for over a decade strictly for just racing. It hasn't been used in the way of like making a role-playing game where you need to have like characters with a lot of detail, a lot of emotion, facial expressions, yada yada yada. So they didn't have quite all the tools already built in, and they need to develop those tools to actually make an RPG. But why not bring in a studio that made Guardians of the Galaxy, a game that if you played it has a lot of very detailed characters, very narrative driven, facial expressions are amazing, great work done there. They're adding people here that fill in the weaknesses that these great studios have. Like Playground Games is a great studio, but they're out of their depth. So let's bring someone in to kind of help them. When you look at all that and you look at like these are out of the 3 studios that were acquired, one of them has been dissolved. And the one that has been dissolved is a studio that would have zero value to Xbox because all they made was mobile games. The 2 other studios are only studios working on Xbox games and their own independent games. And if you look at the IP that they work on, Deus Ex, they previously did Deus Ex, Tomb Raider. These are, as Phil Spencer has once said, IP that would fit a missing component to the kind of portfolio they're trying to build. They don't have games that are like Tomb Raider and Deus Ex. So if they brought in studios that then 1 would be working on other games that are already developing, and 2 actually build towards having a kind of genre that they don't have, it's only filling out the Game Pass's variety. And the last thing I'll say on this, let's say Fable Reboot is an amazing product. It's a masterpiece when it comes out. Let's say Perfect Dark is amazing, and it's like they turned Joanna Dark into like a Lara Croft. It's a third-person perspective game, and now first-person shooter like the actual original was. What do you do after that? What do you just
you find yourself in
anymore?
trouble is what you do. Because this is a Killer Instinct nightmare coming to fruition again, because we don't have a Killer Instinct 2 because the original studio got bought by Amazon and was then closed. And the second studio that did it, which did an amazing job, couldn't do Killer Instinct 2 or even continue to support it because they were doing their own game, which is out, a free-to-play game, which is right now. So right now, Phil Spencer and Matt Booty has said this live on the air together, sitting down. We talk about Killer Instinct all the time, but we just don't have a studio. And that is a big problem there, Slow-Mo.
Right. Like if you're going to do a Perfect Dark 2 off the reboot, were you going to not have the developer that made it successful the first time there anymore? When Daryl Gallagher, who is the head of the initiative, was once the CEO of Crystal Dynamics, it's clear why he wanted this studio there. He vibes with them. They have a good rapport. He knows what to expect from them. It's clear they want. Now, I think my theory here is that the Embracer, I know mine is slightly different than King's, because me and King, we King believes it was kind of like, hey,
don't worry.
Back for me. I got a bit.
I
got a bit to do. Hold this back, but I kind of feel like Embracer just kind of look at that. And I brought up how multiple companies in other industries do this. They acquire assets, acquire a company on cheap, then they raise the value of it, and then they sell it and make a profit off of that. I think Embracer did this all on their own, knowing Microsoft wanted these studios, but knowing they couldn't get them. And so now with no other bidders for it, Embracer took it for cheap. And now they're working with Microsoft. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll make these people available for you for any game you want to work on. Absolutely. Don't you love them? Aren't they great? Aren't they great at this stuff? Yeah. And so then once the acquisition is done, they just go, hey, you've been working with us for a little while now. Great. I love working with you guys. That's it. Don't you want this? These guys are awesome, but like once the game is done, what are you going to do? I mean, they're just here.
Yeah.
If you would like to take this off our hands, we'll make here's a great offer, and it's going to be probably more than double than what they paid, but that would be fair value for what they're worth too. And so that's how that's how business works. And for Microsoft, $1 trillion corporation, that's nothing. Sure, what 750 for Crystal Dynamics? Sure, all right, I'll do that. That's no problem. With the IP, of course, because we want Tomb Raider too. But like it just makes a lot of sense to me.
And I love your theory. And you know what? We talked about this before, which is why I'm not surprised by it. But let's get Pong Soul in on the conversation because he has to go. Pong, you are our Embracer Group connoisseur. You really do dig what they're doing over there. You've told the story of Lars and how he started his company literally in his garage, then moved to a warehouse where he sold used games. That he'd buy games from companies that weren't selling, and he was selling games. And this is how he made self-made man, right?
Started in comics. Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts and theories regarding what Slow-Mo has to say, what I had to say, what King David eventually or King Crocs is going to have to say? Do you think there is any legitimacy to our theories on this?
Absolutely. I think there's multiple different things that could happen. Obviously, we'll never know behind the scenes, but I think that the mind share that Phil and Lars have when it comes to the industry, when it comes to IP, when it comes to the history and protecting that history, because that's the other thing about Lars is he wasn't just in it for the business, although that was obviously a big portion of Money Rules the World, but he also saw the history of IPs and wanted them to be protected. And I think that that's where Phil and him, really, really see eye to eye. And I don't doubt that they've had plenty of conversations. Again, I want to see them both sit down with an interviewer, and it would be fascinating to hear these two. But as far as this goes, I think this absolutely could have happened. It could have happened a couple different ways. It could have been a gentleman's agreement that Phil, obviously, knows where Embracer Group is, knows Lars and his appreciation for this IP.
And they're actually good friends from what we understand.
Yeah, so they certainly could have had a conversation. Phil said, hey, Lars, we're kind of tied right now. Our hands are tied with this ABK deal. Can you do us a solid? Can you go get these guys? Square isn't asking much, right? And we'll get you back. We're gonna get you back 3-4 times when it comes back, when we get done with this deal. That certainly could have happened. Or, like Slow-Mo said, maybe Embracer Group just kind of knew the situation, saw what was going on. Obviously, it was public that Crystal Dynamics was working with Microsoft already. Maybe Lars saw that and said, hey, I can get them on the cheap. I know Phil's going to come a-knocking when this ABK deal's done, and we're going to work something out. It could have gone that way as well. But at the end of the day, whatever happens here, there's something that really kind of makes a whole lot of sense. Embracer Group right now is in, and Lars has specifically talked about this, they're into transmedia IPs. And what that means, you're going to hear that more as this generation goes on in the entertainment industry as a whole. That means that you get an IP that works not only in one form of entertainment like video games, but you take it and you move it and you get a Netflix deal. You get a comic book. You get a novel out of it. That's what Lars is investing heavily in over at Embracer Group. And with Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, all of the IP that we know.
Soul Reaver.
Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, all of them. They all have the potential for transmedia. So what you could see happen here is when the ABK deal's done and Phil comes a knocking, there's no question that they're going to want to own the IP There's no question we already know Phil's respect and love for the Tomb Raider series. So Phil could cut a deal with Lars and say, yeah, we're going to take these studios off your hands. We're going to pay you 900. We're going to pay you $1 billion, whatever it's going to be. We want the gaming rights to that IP, but you guys go ahead and take the transmedia side of stuff. They, again, Embracer now owns Dark Horse Comics. Okay. They own that. You go ahead, you own the rights to whatever you want to do with Tomb Raider, whatever you want to do with Deus Ex on that side. We'll give you those rights. It's going to be that type of mutual agreement between them. But it makes a lot of sense now that we know that Eidos-Montréal is also working on Fable. Like Slow-Mo brought up, like we've discussed previously, what are you going to do when you go to make a sequel? Are you going to bring in a whole brand new team? Nah, you're not going to bring in a whole brand new team. Why not bring back the teams and own the teams that you already fell in love with? Again, when you have the resources that Microsoft has, why not make it happen? Because there is a dollar value attached to everything. Nothing is off the table when it comes to Microsoft, when it comes to the amount of, the blank check that they can lay down. And right now in this industry, the number one resource outside of time that is in limited short supply is that talent. That talent is being gobbled up.
Yep.
That's why it's funny to me when you got the clown show out here going, what's wrong with Xbox? Why are they hiring AAA studios to be support studios? What do you mean? You don't want to go get the best to work on some of your biggest games, and you've got the ability to go find these free agent teams that just so happen to be AAA studios that have a long history of making great games. You don't want that talent working on your games. You would rather go just gobble up or go hire a small support studio just because they've always been a support studio. No, if you got the ability and the opportunity is there to go get some of the best talent in the industry to work on two of your biggest franchises that you're trying to bring back after a long time in being dormant in both Perfect Dark and Fable, and you've got the opportunity to go get a Crystal Dynamics, you've got the opportunity to go get an Eidos-Montréal, of course you're going to take that opportunity. Why would you not want them helping out with some of these most important IPs? So this is a great situation. This should be celebrated that Microsoft is taking taking such a broad view of what they're trying to do and saying these two franchises are ultra important. We're not just going to go simply get a support studio. We're going to go hire some AAA people to help out our AAA studios to make the best damn game we can make. And I think that should be celebrated right now. But unfortunately, again, the clown show likes to do what they do. And it's a problem. Microsoft's got problems. What are they doing? They need help. No, everybody needs help right now. Talent's in short supply.
Yeah.
They're going to go get the best because they have the ability to do that. So That's where I'm at, though. I think there is something to it. I think at the end of the day, when the ABK deal gets done, we're going to see that deal with Crystal Dynamics and Eidos within the next 12 months after the ABK deal for sure.
Yep, love it. Thanks so much thanks so much, Pong. Definitely appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely.
Joe, let's grab your opinion real quick on it. Is there substance to this?
XDev is a great thing that Sony does, and I love it a lot. Partnering up with studios outside your own to go make first-party studios. Similar to what Pong said, it's something that I've always wanted Microsoft to do more of, which is, go out and partner with studios outside your own and go make some stuff. And I think, prior to the Embracer deal, we saw Crystal and Eidos in a bit of trouble in terms of Square even said it. We don't know how to make a Western game. We're having difficulties. And so I think prior to the Embracer deal, Square or Microsoft and Square, one of the two approached each other and said, let's make something together. We have IP and a clear goal that we want these games to hit. That's something that Square does not have or has never had when it comes to its Western games. And you guys can help us build out these franchises that people really love. So right there, I think it's a partnership that very well could evolve into that, let's see what happens later down the line. Now, later down the line, though, Square Enix is sheepish. They want to get unload Western studios so that they can unload some Japanese talent on their end. And that's where Embracer came in. So undoubtedly, if everything went well, these games came out tomorrow, yeah, you could definitely see them go out there and purchase either one, both of these studios. But what happens is the ABK deal happens, and Microsoft doesn't want to spook regulators even more by acquiring even more studios while they're being investigated for this. And again, thoughts, I don't care. But I really don't care. It could get past, and I'm a happy camper. I don't care. But yeah, so Embracer saw an opportunity. Pong said it correctly. They're very much in the transmedia business. They want IP that they know can transcend through TV, movies, film, and that's what Tomb Raider gives them. That's what Eidos could give them with Deus Ex if it takes off. So Embracer got a really good deal because they got these studios for cheap, and now they set off or now have goals to build these studios. Now it sucks to hear about Eidos, or sorry, not Eidos, Onma Studios that they're called. But yeah, it was more of a mobile focus, and you're seeing a lot of those people now switch off to Eidos. It is interesting that Microsoft is saying, hey, here are two IP that we love. They are currently being developed in-house, but we also need them, initiative way more than Playground, to help us here co-develop these games. Now, I could also see a reality where this is just a partnership that continues, because Embracer is in the same field that kind of Microsoft is when it comes to acquisitions. But I could also see Microsoft walking up to Embracer and going, hey, listen, we'll pay a lot. We'll pay a lot of money for these studios and or these IP if things go well. So there could be a situation where they buy out these developers with none of the IP, so that these studios could be attached with the new IP. But that being said, I don't see you parting with Crystal without something like a Tomb Raider. So no, I could definitely see this happening in the future, but in a far future. We're not here yet. I don't think there was that conversation between Lars and Phil of like, hey, listen, I'll buy this cheap for you so you can buy it off of me for a premium later. I think Lars has outside entities, shareholders, stakeholders in that company that he has to make very, very, very happy. So I think their mission is to make sure these two games are rock solid, they hit, and that they sell well so that their partner benefits. But again, I really like the idea of Microsoft, listen, not having to go out there and buy a dev team, but go out and partner with dev teams, which I think, what is it? The rumor, IOI situation. So like, go out there, create and broaden your ex-dev teams, and then build those relationships to go out there and then solidify them. We talk a lot about how PlayStation built their first party teams. It was through XDev. And so I would love that to be similar with Microsoft going, hey, listen, Eidos, Crystal, we've worked so well together, let's try to put a ring on it. And we are this committed that we're going to pay a premium because we know that you guys are worth it. And I think it's important for Microsoft, last point, to go out there and purchase Canadian teams, because right now that area is just ripe for growth. So the dev scene's growing there, and I think you want to be there. That's why PlayStation partnered with Haven to do whatever they're doing over there. So to me, that's what's important at the end of the day.
Now, good stuff as always. Web Dave, let's bring you in on the conversation. Where do you fall on potentially Eidos and Crystal joining Xbox?
Don't you want to go to King David? He hadn't been here yet, man.
I want to make sure we get everyone, and we'll bring King David in, because you guys have been sitting for a minute. So
well, I don't mind, but I think it's great. I think it's great that if they get them, I mean, it makes sense. But right now, use them for what's available to them, and obviously Microsoft is like, hey, if we need them on this team and on this team, and they're making them available because they're basically making money off their investment of the 300 million. So it's definitely worth it for them to continue to do that. But if at some point in the future, when this other deal is finished, if they become available for purchase, whether it's a more price or whether it's maybe more of a continued, work with us partnership type thing, I think it's you can't have too many allies, and
Yes,
and
good point.
especially so it's good for Embracer, it's good for Microsoft. I hope it keeps going.
Good stuff. King, let's bring you in on the conversation, brother. You have a good theory. We've talked before. You think that this is a done deal. But how much of a done deal do you think this is?
Happy birthday, Josie.
Oh, thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. I will tell Mrs. Boom that. That's right. I would definitely tell her that. Thank you.
All right. So Slow-Mo and I, really Slow-Mo, piqued my interest in this whole thought process. Slow-Mo, what's the head of what is that?
The initiative?
The quadruple, the initiative. What's his name?
Oh, that's
Daryl Gallagher.
Yes, Gallagher. Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah.
I like Mr. Gallagher. I like Mr. Gallagher because Crystal Dynamics were coming in and helping before, with Microsoft, before they were sold to Embracer Group, before Microsoft was looking over to ABK for purchase. Now, I'm pretty sure they whiteboard a lot of things, and I'm going to give it to you because I know a lot of you guys hearing jargon and y'all like, I don't understand this. I don't follow, but I hear this and I understand transmedia, but I'm trying to get a hold of it. And I'm going to give you the straight skinny. I'm gonna give it to you. But there's whiteboards, right? And they go in and they're mapping out plans. And these guys are playing chess, not checkers, right? So when they're doing it, this scenario can happen and this scenario can happen. And if this scenario happens, we can get this. So Microsoft is in buying season. Shout out to young Odin Satya. He gives the go. So he tells Phil, go make this stuff happen. So I hear a lot of stuff that happens in the background. These dudes know each other. They Mr. Gallagher knows Crystal Dynamics very well. So anytime you go to war, you're going to go to war with people that you know. So see, Gallagher's team has to hit this title from the gate. With all the stuff that's been going on with the initiative, with people coming in and going out, this title has to hit. This title has to land, right? So who are you going to go to war with? If I have to go bury a body, I'm calling COG. I'm not calling nobody else. That's the first person I'm going to call.
He's got your back.
Got my back.
Yes.
Mouth is sealed. This guy is solid. I know he's solid. So Gallagher looks over and said, these are the guys I can go to war with. These are the guys I need to have in the trenches with me because I was in war with these guys and I know what I can depend on. So I know if somebody says they have this, they're not going to BS me. They're going to get this done. All right. So Phil understands this. And trust me, Gallagher has weight. He talks and, he talks to Mac Booty. He talks to everybody. And he tells them, these guys are solid. We need them. If Square Enix is over there throwing them under the bus, I know what they value are. We can get them. Phil's like, well, right now the ABK deal. And we got these guys that, these guys, they're watching. They're watching. And you got Jim Ryan over there snitching, bringing the heat down in the kitchen. Right? So, all right. How about this? We good with Embracer Group. Right? Yeah, hell yeah, we good with them. They peoples. They're our fam. We good. We work with them. Everything is great with them. All right. Go hit them up. Tell them go get these dudes. Pick them up. Whatever it is, I give them 10 cents on the dollar when we come back. After this deal is done, we'll pick them up. They still got games they got to work on. All right. So the deal goes through over there with Embracer Group. They pick them up. They pick them up at 300 million. Very lightweight. So everybody's like, wow, they sold for so cheap. Yeah, because Square was devaluing them all the way through.
Yep. Solid
titles that they made. Poor marketing from Square. Right? Square doesn't do Western market well. It's very simple. They didn't understand it. They didn't do it. So the first people, if you're having problems with, you're going to look at the people that you don't really understand. They got to go. Embracer purchases them. Microsoft says, all right, cool. We're still working on this. Now, Phil says it. Satya says it. This Activision deal is very, very positive and going through. They feel very, very sure about it. So you feel so sure about it. Let's call up Embracer. You know, the stuff that we asked you to hold. Well, we need them to start working on some stuff that we got going on right now, because we're trying to have 23 really good, 24 really good, 25. So let's get them rolling now. So when this deal is done, we can give you that bag that we promised you and just pick up the team, because they're already being transitioned. They're already working. They already know how everything is. Let's integrate them already. I think everybody overthinks stuff. And a lot of times, business can be done with a handshake, a wink, and a smile. I know you, you know me. I'm good for it. How many times have you went to the store, Boom, and you're on your beat, and the guy in the store knows you, but you left your wallet back at the base, and he's like, you like, oh man, you know, you always pick up a bagel and a coffee, and you forgot your wallet, and he goes, oh, don't worry about it, Officer Boom, you're good for it. You're good for it. Why? Because I know you, and you're a man with integrity, and I know you come back tomorrow. And what do? You come back tomorrow with the $3 and give him $2 more. Thank you for holding me down when I needed it the most.
100%.
This situation here.
100%.
So the deal is a done deal. Soon as the ABK, and I don't think it's 6-7 months down the line, soon as the ABK deal is done, they're going to walk over there. They're going to say, here's your bread. And they're going to pull them because they're going to already be working.
Right.
I already got the workers in the building. Here's the money that we owe you. That's it. They already transitioned. They're good. Another thing about transmedia, I believe Microsoft goes half and half on IPs as far as anything outside of video games. We own the licensee as far as video games go. Talking about Tomb Raider and things of such. And since you did me such a good favor, we can go half and half on the licensee, or we can go 60-40 or whatever on the licensees as far as comic books, what you call them, movies, cartoons, stuff of that nature. Because Microsoft really is looking to get that mobile store open to attack Google
and Apple.
This is the difference, guys. That's pretty much how I see it, and that's how business really works. It's really sometimes done with the wink, handshake, and a smile.
I love it, dude. And you make a lot of sense. And you know something? I think you're onto something. I've seen a lot of people trying to poo-poo what you're saying, what I'm saying, what Slow-Mo's saying, what Everborn Saga has been saying. I think there's something to it. I think you're onto something. I think that this is going to be one of those deals where they do get the studios. And I think that Microsoft does invest in Embracer Group for that transmedia aspect that Lars really enjoys doing. And when you can get a new Tomb Raider film and a new Tomb Raider comic, and you can get all of these IPs to be in the faces and the spaces of the common regular people that are not diehard gamers, that are not in social media each and every day, you expand the brand. And that's what Microsoft is going to do. And I think that these two studios are going to come to Microsoft, and you're going to see a partnership one way or another with Embracer. Good stuff is always king. Let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere. We'll get Infinite, Umbra, and Dreadpool into the conversation, and then we will get everyone out of here after I read the winners of the $300 worth of gift cards, as well as all of the super chats. Been so many of them. Fuzzy, what are your thoughts on what King had to say, what I had to say? What are your opinions on Slow-Mo's theories?
All of them make perfect sense. I mean, for me originally, I was just thinking at most maybe Lars was looking at it as a business opportunity, like kind of like you can see the writing on the wall that Xbox definitely or Microsoft definitely wanted those studios. They were already working with them. It was kind of like a test before you buy type of thing. And you know, the opportunity, seeing the landscape where they're kind of tied up right now, it makes sense. But the way they've broken it down, I would say it's as close as we could probably get to being a fly on the wall, and you know their meetings or you know lunch breaks or whatever the case may be, or some of the phone calls that may have transpired type of thing. I would not be surprised if that's the case. Although I kind of wonder, wouldn't Embracer itself be possibly the next acquisition? I know that they're looking for something in the East as well, but one final publisher to rule them all kind of thing, and acquire Embracer. But I know that would probably bring too much scrutiny. But I like the thought process behind the whole Eidos-Montréal as well as Crystal Dynamics, just for the fact that these are perfect studios for the situations that they're working with Microsoft right now for these upcoming games. So you don't want to, Microsoft has learned from 2014 and earlier, as far as when you do all of the third party deals, or you have somebody make a game or work on a game and then they get snatched up by somebody else. They don't ever want to be in that position again. And why not have someone that you can trust, like King said, them, you've worked with them, you have a good strong relationship behind the scenes, as far as whether it be deals in Game Pass or just deals in general. Why not have them kind of hold something down for you until you're able to get them back, as far as pay them for what the favor that they've done for you, or something to that effect. Or maybe it's just kind of like what we see with ABK, where they picked up a couple of studios, or at least a couple of support studios for like World of Warcraft and something else before the big acquisition type of deal. So I totally see your guys' point on it, but hey, why not just acquire Embracer themselves? But we'll see.
You're making a lot of people in the chat smile, because that's been Asante has been banging that drum for quite some time. But you do make a lot of sense, and I appreciate your opinion. Umbra, let's get your final opinion on this. Where do you fall in the Embracer Eidos-Montréal tinfoil hat wearing scenario? Oh, you're on mute, brother, unless you are stepped away and I just missed the message. Okay, we'll come back to Umbra in a second. Dreadpool, take that question. What are your thoughts on this? Is there smoke? Fire where there's smoke.
Do you guys remember when this first happened? What did I say? Holding company.
You did say that.
I said that sure day one, because I had that same situation happen with the company we worked with. On the 91st day, the first second, we were sold right away. And there was 2 bids out for us before anybody even knew we were up for sale, because it was a holding company and they held us for a certain bidder. And the same thing here. The highest bidder didn't win, because it was already intended for somebody else to purchase
buy you. Yep.
And this is the same scenario that I believe is happening, and everybody's basically touting the same drum that we are. That whether or not this was an orchestrated deal, but here's the other thought, right? If you think about it, Square's been saying the Western Division has been losing money. They got a deal off of all of that negativity, right? They also had the hardest, basically, games to produce with the limited budget that they had, and how expensive it was to get the licensing. So it's a catch 22 on that, because even EA said the same thing. These high value licenses are killing us, hence FIFA going away. But if you're a businessman, you would think, where can I get some investment? This would be good money to invest in. Like I said, whether or not it's a backdoor deal, the good old boy handshake, or any of that stuff between Phil and what's his face, but whether or not, but let's just say that didn't even happen. But that this is something that they're looking at, right? I would buy the games, I would buy the studios, have the IPs, and then turn around when that the dust is settled and MS and Xbox are good to go. Here's your platter. Here's my offering. You still make money. It's still on the cheap for them. They're in the clear. Now, the other question would be the IPs, and I've questioned that too. Would the IPs come along with? Because really, you could build a new studio. Because think about this, right? Daryl Gallagher said, let's bring my old team back. As King said, I got these guys. I can vouch for them. So doing that, I don't need the IPs if I'm going to just buy the studio. I could just get the defectors. I can sit there and weed out the best of the best and bring them on the team. And that's what this quadruple A studio has said. You know, we are not a full studio. We are the planners. You know, it's just like people that hire on temps are, you know, the temp guys do all the work. We take all the credit because we do the intricate pieces of putting everything together, you know, because we brought them on. They're the ones that are pulling the wires. They're the ones that are doing the actual hard work, but we get the credit for it. You know, they just get to, you know, kind of like associate themselves with us in name, and that's it. We get the full credit. And that's what a lot of the support studios do. You know, so now when you think of all that and you see all this happening, you know, now you're like, for sure, this has to be a holding company set up. This has to be this. And they've got the IPs got to go somewhere, you know. And if Phil is going to keep the IPs everywhere, because it seems like, right, if the IP, think about this, if the IP was dedicated only to one place, Xbox is keeping it there. But if the IP has been never happened, it's staying on with Xbox, you know, with the new stuff. But if it's been out there, it's going out there to everywhere continuously, because they've done that before. They've held true with all their previous contracts. They're not pulling them away and changing them. They're honoring every single contract, and then it comes right to Xbox. But now the next games, if it's a continuation, they'll probably stay multi-plat.
It makes sense. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, to your point, Dredd, I'm glad that you brought your personal history into the conversation, because that really does put a stamp on how these deals are done, and they're done in advance, and based on what you've said and what King and Slow-Mo and myself have said, along with Pong, we believe that is in fact what is going to happen here. I do want to get Infinite Umbra. Are you back, brother? He is not back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the super chats. Oh, there he is.
I'm back, Bo.
All right, but let's get your opinion. Get your final opinion. I'll read the super chats and we'll get everyone out of here. Where do you agree or disagree on whether or not this deal was done? Whether it be a handshake, a wink, a phone call, a sit down for coffee. What are your thoughts? Is Crystal Dynamics and Eidos-Montréal going to join Xbox Game Studios?
You know, it's funny. I've heard so many people speak on it before, and I guess Slow-Mo is probably the first who actually said it, probably on a podcast or whatnot. But like I heard in the spaces and things like that. I don't know if that'll be the case. I think it would be hilarious if true. But I feel like Embracer is probably just going to use them somewhat as a support studio, those studios for Microsoft in that case, more than anything. I'm not sure if that is the case, and I would be all for it. I mean, there's 3 excellent studios, well now 2, but it would be really interested if it happened. And I mean, time will tell, I suppose. But it did always seem funny that they acquired them for so little, and it would make sense for them to, you know, resell them, I guess, at a higher price. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see, but I don't know if that's quite the truth or not.
Well, I mean, listen, it's going to be one heck of a story one way or the other. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we had almost 500 people here today celebrating the 1,000th video for Double Barrel Gaming. I cannot thank you enough. I got to get to the super chats, and of course, I did miss one, and I'm glad Raiden Blade brought it to my attention. He says this after dropping off an additional £5 super chat. Reviewers and the publishers that they work for are not working for the consumers, but in fear of the dev company like Sony, so I no longer trust them. We also had, let's see. Let me see where I'm at here. Okay, we had JD Gamer, who not only dropped 10, he gifted 10 Double Barrel Gaming channel memberships, which I'm very grateful for. He drops a $20 super chat and says, boom, congratulations on 1K. Thank you. Infinite Umbra, generous friend and panel member, dropped a $5 super chat and says, congratulations on 1,000 videos. Boom, brother. Here is to 1,000 more. Thank you so much for that. Raiden Blade drops an additional £5 super chat and says, shout out to Boom and Frog Boy for showing Gotham Knights. Because of these two gents, I'm getting the game. Also, you missed my second super chat. Witcher is also not for you. Listen, that's what it is. Witcher is just not for me either. We also had Raiden Blade drops in, who's been a channel member for 19 months, says, for the Embracer group, I have always stated that Xbox and Embracer are very close. EG will sell X Square Studios to Xbox and maybe 12 to 14 more or the partnership, and that's possible as well. Danny Passion Official, Danny, welcome back, brother. He drops a $5 super chat, and he's also been a channel member for 6 months. He says, 6 months ago I played God of War 2018. I wasn't impressed as so many people claimed that they were. I didn't enjoy its linearity, and he thought it to be very repetitive. I mean, I hear you there, brother. We also have Abacab72, who's been a channel member for 6 months. Thank you for the generosity. He says this. I actually has been a channel member for 12 months. So thank you so much for that. He says, great example of sequel better than the first. Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is the GOAT, no doubt about that. We also have Hargeet Chani. Wow, he drops an additional and very generous $10 super chat. Says, tinfoil hat. Microsoft working to buy Square. ABK comes up. Shift focuses to Square Embracer. MS work out a way to get some money to Square to keep them on ice for a year or two for ABK to finish. Interesting. Very interesting.
Imagine them grabbing Square. How crazy
it would be. King would have his day in court, so to speak, and he'd be dancing around the aisle, and the stop snitching would come right out, and man, Sony guys and gals would be crying in the streets. It'd be Bethlehem, that's for sure. Raiden Blade drops an additional £5 super chat. Says AMD has their showcase, and I noticed that no one is talking about ray tracing for Halo and Forza. Actually, we're going to talk about that on Tuesday. Yeah, that's a big deal. So you are telling me that they're still not waiting, and it on AMD on Xbox and not Xbox. No, I agree. He also drops an additional £2 super chat. Says, King, hello, much love, my brother. Kay Asante, who's been a channel member for 6 months. Wow, drops an outstanding $10 super chat. Says, wasn't able to jump in because of work is killing me, but congrats to you, Boom, on the great milestone and the amazing panel. Thank you so much for that. So Justin Sayin, who was a guest on the Xbox Factor podcast just the other day, made his debut, drops a very generous $10 super chat. Says, not letting you out of here that quick. Happy 1K, Boom. Here's to many more. Thank you so much for that. And in Eternal Shaddai, who's been a channel member for 7 months, says, congratulations, Boom, on the milestone. And I always enjoy your content and the guests that you bring to the show. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much for the very kind words. And of course, being a channel member. Let's get everyone out of here. And we'll start first with our special guest, Slow-Mo Backslap. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can check out your show each and every week with, of course, your brother from another. Talk about it, sell your brand, where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, where can they subscribe to your YouTube channel?
Well, first off, thank you, Boom, for inviting me. I had a great time as usual. Great panel, great chat as usual. Hope you guys have a great weekend as well. You can find me, Slow-Mo Backslap, the name Slow-Mo Backslap, on everything: Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. No OnlyFans yet. Might do that sometime. Literally Slow-Mo Backslap everywhere. Damage Per Second podcast, this DPS podcast, is every Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do that with the homie Gaming Forte, Mr. Nautical. I like to leave the podcast running for 11 hours after the podcast is over. But that's when it's hosted on his channel. We go back and forth. Last night it was on my channel. Go sub to that channel if you like to. Go sub to Forte's channel as well, because next week it'll be on his channel.
Nice.
I will make sure that he turns the podcast off on time. Outside of that, enjoy my time here as usual. We gotta do it more frequently, Boom. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Yeah, no one nicer than Gaming Forte. Yes, he's forgetful, but he's an old man like me, so that happens. That happens. Infinite Umbra, sell your brand, brother. You got a big show coming up tonight, even though your name is still in the court battles. But Risk It for the Biscuit, Doom Cutie, Jedi Pete, and yourself will be hitting those YouTube streets tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk about that, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Absolutely. You guys can find me. By the way, before I say anything else, again, congratulations on
Thank
1,000
you, sir.
Boom. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
And of course, to all you gentlemen, I mean, excellent show. We've been hearing you guys talks and thoughts on everything is always good to hear. And for Joe, he left, but to him too. But yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter under Umber Infinite or Infinite Umber. You'll find me either way. And if you all are so inclined, you can come through and find me on the Xbox Infinite podcast later tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern. And yeah, come through and say hi to us. I was going to say, oh yeah, we have a guest. We have Eric Cuts.
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
So come through and check us out. Now, this is our 49th episode right here on that show.
Very good.
So
that is good
week,
stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you guys hang around because you put on a good show. Eric Cuts is a big guest, and you guys deserve it for sure. Real quick, I'm glad I read the chat because I would have actually forgotten, because this has been a very heavy day on the brain. I got to announce the 6 winners, and those 6 winners, a $50 gift card of your platform of choice. Reach out to me on DM, reach out to me on said console, or reach out to me via the email, the business email. It's at the about page of Double Barrel Gaming. It's D Diaz, Bone Slave, Marlesco.
Bone, that's my cousin.
Yeah, Marlesco, Smokey, Sith Lord, and Leonard Herrera. You are all winners of the $50 gift card. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel with your views and your likes and your constant awesome comments in the chat, and making this, making the shows that I do weekly, a success story. So thank you so much for that. Again, those winners: D Diaz, Bone Slave, Marlesco, Smokey, Sith Lord, and Leonard Herrera. Reach out to me on social media, and I will get you those gift cards today. If not today, definitely tomorrow. But let's continue with Dreadpool. I'm going to bring up your stuff, Dread. Sell your brand, brother. Let me bring that up and drop that into your screen so I can. There we go. You can find Dreadpool at linktree.com/Dreadpool, youtube.com/Dreadpool, Twitter at Dreadpool, TikTok at Dreadpool, hover.gg at Dreadpool. You can also find him on Wilmy Hood Show, Gaming Beyond the Box, each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you can find him back here on Breakfast with Boom, Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can also subscribe to his YouTube channel to check out his very unique and awesome show called Breaking Bread with Dread. Dread, thanks so much for being here, brother. We definitely appreciate you being here, especially because, of course, you came from work. So thank you so much for that. Talk about it.
Yeah, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. It's always appreciated to see everybody in the chat and saying hello to you guys. And we got to thank our guests, Joe, Pong, Soul, Slow Mo, and King. Thank you guys for and Infinite Umbra. Thank you guys for hanging out with us too, and celebrating the 1,000 show of Booms, which is,
thank you, sir,
yet again an honor to be here for these milestones of yours, Boom. It's like I said, you brought me in when I was a nobody,
Stop it.
Here I am.
Everyone's
a nobody, but I'm hanging out.
Everybody's a somebody.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, is we're all somebody, but we're not better than anybody else. And we got to remember that we are all equals all the way around. So again, thank you all for everything. And as always, my DMs are open. If anybody needs an ear, I will listen. I may not know what to say, but at least there will be somebody there for you to listen to.
That's a big deal, and I definitely people appreciate it. Sometimes you just need a good ear.
Yes.
And speaking of good ear, King Crocs himself. You got a big show coming up this Sunday, and the roundtable continues to grow. You guys are closing in on 15K. You have that probably by the end of the year for sure. You guys are just a dominant force in podcasting. We're happy to have you here to listen to each and every week. It is a long, sometimes 5-hour show. You bring in great guests, but you are you're the guy that brings the laughs. You always take it to another level. You're known for it. You bathe in it. Talk about it, brother. Sell the brand.
Well, first, 1,000 episodes. You got to think about it, right? Infinite Numbers just told you that they're doing their 49th episode, so he just got 951 more to go. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, and I've always called you the James Brown of this.
Thank you.
Right? I love James Brown, but James Brown was the hardest working man in the business. And every time I tune in, it's always an energetic, positive show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And each show has a different feel. So that's very hard to do. It's very hard to do 1,000 episodes. And I salute you, sir. I take my hat off to you. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're a dominant force. You are a force to be reckoned with.
Very kind of you to say. I really appreciate it.
And I can't wait for you to hang out with us at E3.
Oh my God! Yeah, we talked. We talking, man.
It's gonna happen.
What'd you call it? It wasn't the compound. That's
the compound. Yeah, this year we're gonna be in Beverly Hills, and like Boom has been with us every time we go up and up and up. This time it's going to be something to behold. Well, yeah. Speaking of something to behold, this Sunday we're going to have a live show because thanks to all the wonderful friends and family, and I call everybody that tunes in friends and family because it's not just because we're blood, it's just because we have a shared passion and shared love, right? So we are friends and brothers and sisters in this whole gaming community because of y'all generosity and purchasing our first collaboration with Valari Pillows. And if you can go to Valari.com to go get the pillows, check them out. Go to them on Twitter. The link is in the Twitter. And they purchased 10 pillows this week, and we said we'll do a live show. Well, Attic is taking a flight to New York today.
Yes.
And he'll be here later on today. We're going to go to movies. We're going to have a dine-in experience because he's never been to a dine-in movie. We're going to do that. Tomorrow we have Play NYC. We're going to be getting a lot of content for you guys. We're going to do that, and then we're going to take them out to this very great restaurant that we like to go to. And then Sunday we have a studio that we're renting out. And we're going to do a live show, and I have some special stuff that I'm going to do for everybody. So go to the Iron Lords podcast on YouTube, and if you haven't followed, please follow. Subscribe. If you follow me on Twitter, it's King David OTW. Sundays, Iron Lords podcast, and Saturdays at 10 p.m. Most weeks, I'm doing Combat Talk with the King. Attic and I is working on another show that we're going to do is R&R with the Lords. That's coming very soon. Just waiting for some overlays. And King of the Statues. If y'all see these statues that's in the background, I talk about those statues. So King of the Statues is coming back. That stuff is already done. And we're going to get that out to you guys. But again, Boom, I am so humbled that I'm here. I'm so humbled that you reached out to me. I was driving carefully.
Yes.
And me and him was corresponding in the background. I'm sorry I missed the first topic. Yes, I love God of War. Yes, it's DLC. Yes, you guys have been paid off to say great things about it because you want to get their next release. And I understand it. And yeah, it might be 70 hours. It might be 60 hours of fluff, 10 hours of really great gameplay. I think the game is going to be good. I'm going to be playing it. I believe 80% of the populace is going to be playing it on a PS4. I think the 20% is going to be playing it on a PlayStation, and it doesn't have 4K 60. So that's my thoughts on that, and I'm so sad I missed that. But thank you guys.
Thank you, brother. Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the interview you dropped on Monday and what you got going on for your YouTube channel, as well as where can people reach out to you on social media.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Gosh, so much good stuff today. It was so awesome. Congratulations to everybody who won. Everybody who was here. All the guests. King, you're absolutely amazing. Just have to say that.
I
love you, man. Right back at you, man. And Slow-Mo, I got to get you on, man. You're the only one on the panel I haven't talked to yet. I'm gonna have to hook you up in the DMs. I'm gonna have to get you interviewed all up because everybody likes to know more about it, and it's really cool. So please, everybody, check it out. Boom's got the link in the description. It's Outbreak Podcast if you want to look me up. And lots of fun interviews. One on 3-bit just dropped, and it's awesome. So I can't say enough. I mean, self-praise, but my gosh, these people are so fascinating. This community is amazing. And thanks everybody for being here. Congratulations, Boom. We love you, man.
Get in my belly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate that as well. And last and no way least, not even by a stretch of the truth, Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand, brother. Talk about where they can find the best information and content when it comes to the racing genre. What other shows you're on, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Oh, just want to thank you, Boom, for having me on here, and congrats again for the 1,000th episode or 1,000th show on your YouTube channel. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, and man, what an awesome panel of guests that we had today, along with the panel members that I'm here with on every Breakfast with Boom. But man, thank you all so much in the chat. Everyone that came out here, or anybody that watches this on replay, thank you so much for taking your time to enjoy this content. For anybody that wants to hear any of my endless ramblings on anything gaming, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can find me on Xbox Ultimate later on tonight on Fun Speculations channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shop Podcast on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe that's 6 p.m. Arizona time on PTK Blam's channel tomorrow. On Monday for the Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 p.m. right here on Double Barrel Gaming at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then FSP later that evening at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel, and then right back here Friday morning for Breakfast with Boom at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you next Friday.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for being a part of the two shows you are a week. You bookend them. You and Dave bookend them. And we have a great time. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. A big shout out to the incredible super chats, folks. And listen, like I said before, channel membership, gifted memberships, as well as super chats. We take those and we turn them around like Microsoft is going to do with Embrace Group and reinvest into this community. This week alone, we gave away $500 with $200 on Monday, $300 today. We are doing in Christmas for the holidays, for Kwanzaa, for Hanukkah, for Christmas, for anyone that celebrates in that time of the year. We're giving away $1,000 in one show, one Breakfast with Boom, and it's our annual. This will be our 5th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. We're giving away $1,000 in one show. In a 1-2-hour show, we're going to have multiple prizes, all digital, all for you to use for yourself or use for gifts, whatever it is. We're going to deliver those the same day, so you can go and celebrate, either buy yourself games or buy your loved one games, however you use the money. It's your choice. And like I said before, and it's a big deal for me, Mrs. Boom, international winners are going to be gifted whatever they win, even if we have to pay a higher denomination for the value of your money in your country. We pick up that tab. Any transfer fees, we pick it up, because everyone that supports here deserves a chance to win. And if you are outside of the United States, you will get your prize. And again, we will pay you pay nothing. You simply win, and that's it. We pay everything on the back end. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my awesome dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.